I did.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. Two councilors will be a little bit late. They're running late, AJ Seeley and Colleen Cummings-Dana. Secondly, I'd like to introduce Sarah Mutter, our new employee. Welcome, Sarah, and thank you for joining us tonight. And many good years over there for you, I hope. Item 2, adjustments to the agenda.
I have none. I do, however, seem to have handed out my copy of the agenda. You know, you just tell me what's coming next.
Okay. Next item is hearing no adjustments to the agenda. We'll move on to item 3, public open forum. We put this in the beginning of the meeting, but tonight, if I could ask that the audience, if anybody has a question on the county tax bill or proposal or whatever it would be, could we please wait until after the city manager gives his presentation? Then I will open the floor again for a question and ask situation. So if anybody has just a general question or a comment about the city council or the city problems or anything other than the county tax, please approach the podium. Please state your name and try to keep it within a couple minutes, please. Thank you.
I'm Judy Pegram, and I just had a follow-up question because I had asked the city manager a couple months before about what the cost was to the city for security and cleanup that the city had to absorb, and I didn't get an answer, and I wanted to follow up on that.
In association to the cruise ships?
Yes.
Yes.
Between $2,500 and $2,600, we've already billed the port and they've paid us.
So they did, okay, so
Yep.
they did pay the bill and everything's
Yep.
square. Thank you, that was it.
Thank you very much. Anybody else from the audience have just a general question prior to the county tax presentation? Yes.
City Matty, I just have a question with regard to shoveling Main or Water Street. Is the city responsible for that, or is it the merchants themselves?
The merchants themselves normally take care of the sidewalks. The
Okay.
city doesn't
Okay.
shovel. Yeah.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Hi, Christina Turner. I was at a meeting, I don't know, a couple months ago, we talked about maybe addressing the vendor policy.
Oh.
And I didn't know if we could, I know, in the wintertime it's a little slow, so I just wanted to mention that again.
You know, it's on my to-do list. My to-do list is very, very long. But this is the right time to do it, so I'm sorry I have nothing to report, but thank you for bringing it up. It'll
Thank you.
go higher on.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jean. How are you?
Good. This isn't a concern. It's just I'd like to introduce Deb Pigeon, who is going to be on the agenda for going on the Energy Committee, and she would like to just see you and have her be introduced. So, because she has to leave.
Yes,
So,
I have previous commitment. And Billy, you know me as Lucy.
I do.
Everybody, I'm Deb Pigeon, home with the big deer fence, and the deer got in last night. Through the lilac bush. And I'm going to be joining the Energy Committee. And I just want to contribute to the community as best I can.
And thank you for your letter, Deb. It was very nice.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for me?
That's a loaded question right there. No. I'm good. Okay. But thank you, Deb.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
and Pete Lehman is also want to join the committee, but he has a heating problem, so he could not be here tonight. But I'd like to introduce our new Island Institute person, Emily McCarthy, and she will be doing what Brenna Cohen did before. She's working with our committee, and we will be doing a presentation probably after February, where we're going to have a visioning meeting and try to come up with some goals for our committee, and we'll be meeting with you probably in March.
Very well. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Jean. Anybody else under open forum?
Can you turn up the mic or point it down so we can hear this?
Yeah, unfortunately, this mic is, I was going to say something and it never seems to help, but if you are speaking, try to get your mouth, I mean literally right on top of it. It's just very directional, so I'll ask people to do that.
Yeah, that would help.
Yeah, I don't bore you with the details of why it's hard to amplify in here, but it's tricky.
Anybody else under public open forum? Hearing none, I'll close item 3. Item 4 is scheduling of a public hearings. 4A is new liquor license application for Jeffrey Gother, doing business as Blackbeards, 171 Water Street. And 4B is liquor license renewal for M.A. Trot LLC, doing business as Happy Crab, 35 Water Street. We need to schedule a public hearing for that.
Let me look at my calendar to see when our next meeting is.
It is the
Should be the
I'll say it's the
14th.
14th, yes.
14th. I move to schedule public hearings for Blackbeards and the Happy Crab liquor license for the January 14th meeting.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call please. Sarah?
Councillor Dana Cummings. Councillor Meringue.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Boone.
Yes, thank you. Item 4, old business. 4A, appointment of Deb Pigeon and Pete Lehman to the Energy Committee.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Councillor Meringue.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Boone.
Yes. Item 6, new business. Consideration of prepayment of county tax in the amount of $323,130.12. I'm assuming this is a good time to go into this presentation
Yep.
prior to making any motion on this.
And then public's comments will be
Public, yes,
reopened.
yes. I guess I would ask that we go through the entire thing first, and maybe we'll get some questions answered as we're going through. Certainly, this is not a easy topic to discuss, but we must, because it's a very costly one for all municipalities within this county. So it's up to you, Brian.
So I come before you wearing 2 hats today. I'm obviously here as city manager, making a recommendation, and my computer wants to update itself. Recommendation concerning situation with the county tax. I am also the chair of the Washington County Budget Committee, and I'm a representative for District 2, which Eastport belongs to. Where'd you go, Dan? There he is. Dan Daly from Lubec is another representative for District 2 on the Budget Committee. He's here to make sure I don't get anything wrong or leave anything out that's important, or if you'd rather ask him a question than me. I'd like to make very clear that what I'm about to put forward to you here is it's not my baby. This is not something I want to do. It's a bitter pill for all of us to swallow. I will say in preparation what I'm going to propose is what I think is the only responsible response to the problem we're in. But I don't like it any more than anyone else. There's an $8 million tax anticipation loan, money from a bank, that's in principal and interest, approximately. It's going to be coming due December 31st. The county, for reasons I'll discuss a little bit later, does not have the money to pay off this obligation at the moment. It has already been spent, and I'll explain how that's true, but quickly, the county has failed to tax sufficiently for the services it has provided since 2019. It must be paid back. I'm sure many of you know, a bond was proposed to try to raise that money. I, of course, well, not of course perhaps, but I was certainly disappointed when it didn't pass. I understand why, though. People are angry. And unfortunately, probably the best tool to communicate their anger was to destroy the best tool the county had to manage the problem. And so we find ourselves facing an oncoming deadline.
And what is the deadline?
So if we are not able to negotiate, okay, so what the county needs to do is obtain another tax anticipation note for 2026 to be able to continue operating. There will not be enough funds if that is not obtained. If the county goes into default on the TAN, we will not be able to obtain another one. Or if we do, at best, it will be at skyrocketing inflation rate, interest rates. So something has to be done. So for 2026, the county tax bill is going to have two components. There will be the 2026 operating budget, the normal budget for the county, what the budget committee would normally have been voting on, and the repayment of that $8 million. It's going on to next year's county tax. It has to be repaid. Unfortunately, because of the way things are set up in state statute, when the county passes its budget, it passes a January to December budget. But by state statute, payments are not due until October, and interest doesn't begin to accrue until November. For that reason, most of us, including Eastport, don't pay right away. Eastport typically pays in late September or October, and we would budget for this coming year's 2026 county tax in next year's budget, because our fiscal year runs July to June. So, where many of the communities are in this similar hole. So, the county has to find a way to get money to be able to operate, and that's why they've been taking out tax anticipation notes. And this is also why, however, just adding the $8 million to the county tax bill is not sufficient to retire the TAN, because that money won't come in in time. That's why why the commissioners and the budget committee are suggesting that all we can do is ask communities to prepay their portion of that $8 million. Those who prepay will incur no interest or penalty associated with that 2025 TAN. So if we pay our $323,000 in advance, but whatever we end up, and other people do not, that amount, whatever interest it's going to accrue, will have to be paid for by those who did not prepay. God forbid we should find ourselves in a default or penalty situation. We would again be free of any penalty or cost from the 2025 TAN if we prepaid. And the hope is we get enough communities to prepay that we can firm things up with the bank, the Chi Savings Bank, get this TAN paid off, a 2026 TAN paid, and at least the county doesn't have to go into the threat of shutting its doors. Eastport's portion is based on valuation, just like county taxes. Our estimated portion of the $8 million is $323,130. Like I said, that would be added to our tax bill this coming year if we don't prepay anyway. We currently pay $400,000 in county tax. I can discuss the county budget right now. After I get through the prepayment, I'll just point out that right now, next year's is estimated about $500,000, but the budget is not yet complete. But it's a $323,130 we're talking about now. By agreement with the commissioners, and they've already passed motions to guarantee this, any prepayment will only be used to pay down this debt. It will not be used for operating funds in 2026. It will be essentially segregated, placed in escrow, go straight to the bank to pay off that amount. Our estimated amount is based on this $8 million round figure. We're hoping it will be actually somewhat less. A tax anticipation note is more like a line of credit. You draw on it as you need it. 7.2 out of 7.6 have been drawn at this point. So that $8 million is the 7.6 amount of the TAN itself plus estimated interest just from this year. We're hoping it will be less. Any amount that we may have overpaid on the prepayment will be applied against our tax for the coming fiscal year. I've looked through what Eastport has, and my proposal to the council, of course they can discuss other ways they want to approach it. but I am proposing that the council authorizes prepayment, covering it by taking $113,000 out of our unassigned funds and $210,330 from our capital fund. Our unassigned funds right now are estimated by the auditors at about $1 million. Let me anticipate a question because this has come up, right, both with respect to the counting and here. We are not up to date on our audits. There are very few communities are. However, we've sat down with our auditors who are working on 23 and 24 and have taken the initial work on 2025 and asked them to give us what their estimate of our unassigned fund balance is. And they said it's about $1 million. Under my proposal, that would be reduced to $887,000. We have a general fund policy that states we need to have between 11 and 14 weeks of taxation in our unassigned funds. This is because, kind of like the county, when we pass a budget, we start in July, but we don't collect taxes until October. We don't require taxes to be paid until October. So we have a little bit of a gap there as well. We've never, in recent memory, come close to running into trouble here, but our policy is designed to keep us from doing that. Our current fund policy then requires a minimum unassigned fund balance of $820,000. So there is still a cushion there in case unforeseen contingencies come up that would need to be paid elsewhere. The capital fund, which currently stands at about $370,000, would be reduced to $160,000. This is just going to be enough to cover the 2 pending grant matches we've committed to. The sidewalk grant, for which we've committed $140,000 in a grant match, and the Manass generator, for which we've committed $20,000. Paying it this way means no immediate impact on taxes to residents. There will be no supplemental bill, and there's no amount that has to be put in next year's budget to cover this. However, I will point out, Katie, that we do have capital needs. I'll point out the one that's nearest to my heart, which is the roof of City Hall is in serious need of work, probably somewhere between $40,000 and $70,000 to do. That was in our capital plan this year, and it won't get done this year. It will have to be budgeted for in the following year. The benefits. We avoid interest. We clear a debt that's going to have to be paid so it's not hanging over our head. And it helps stabilize the county. I know people are angry at the county right now, but we can't do without their services. And this is a way to ensure that none of those are put in danger. The drawbacks, in my opinion, are should council want to tax to cover this, and they have never, let me be clear, they have never expressed that intent, but should you want that tool, it might be cleaner to do through the budget process. And what I just pointed out, we're reducing our balances in the middle of the year. There is some risk involved. I don't think it's existential. I don't think it's particularly dangerous. And I think it's a better deal than potentially, another option would be to borrow ourselves against our own credit to pay this. Machias is doing that, for example. I decided not to offer that. Well, we could discuss it. I have been asked, what happens if we don't pay at all? This is a legal requirement. We have no choice but to pay county tax. I don't know the specific process, but I would imagine there would be legal costs, interest charge, and penalties. In the long run, it would cost us more. It has to be paid. I'm going to keep going, but I guess that's kind of the first part of my presentation. That's the basic problem, why I proposed, and the Budget Committee and the commissioners that proposed this approach, and what it means to us. A lot of you are new faces to me in this meeting, and I don't know how much of this story you know, so apologies if you've heard this all before, but I am going to tell some of the stories, exactly how did we get into this mess, and a little bit of how can we make sure we don't fall into it again. The last time the county actually taxed the amount it was supposed to was in 2018. In other words, under normal circumstances, when I present a budget, I present my net expenses minus my revenues, and that's your taxation. Right? We don't run a deficit. We don't tax extra money that we're going to store away somewhere. County did that last in 2018. The reason they didn't was they had a belief that they had excess unassigned funds, money that they had taxed for and hadn't spent, and the commissioners at that time thought it was a good idea to require that unspent money be carried forward to offset taxation in the next year. Regardless of what you might think of the philosophy behind that, as a financial practice, that was and has turned out to be catastrophic. Now, every municipal budget should, in reality, run a little bit under, right? I cannot run over my budget. And it's very unlikely I'm going to meet it to the dollar. So I'm going to aim under a little bit. I'm going to hope that we come in a little bit under. Under normal circumstances, that amount that I come under flows into my unassigned funds, my surplus. Hopefully that amount isn't too large, and that amount is mostly enough to keep me going on with inflation. It might be a little bit too high, and actually in our general fund policy, we say if we have more than 14 weeks in unassigned, we'll put it in the capital fund, so that we're not just sitting on it and having a pile of gold, that we're going to dedicate it to capital projects. Carrying forward then means you're going to take that money that would have gone to surplus, and you're going to instead spend it. You're not going to add anything to your unassigned funds. Even if you do this perfectly, you better really know what you're doing. Briefly, the county did not know what it was doing. The first problem, yes, a lack of audits. To be clear, under normal circumstances in a properly functioning institution, an audit is basically somebody checking your work. All right, that's what a municipal audit is. You do your books, you follow your processes, the auditors come in, look at the results and say, yes, you did it right, here are some things you might want to fix, here are some things that we better capitalize. However, the other thing it tells you is exactly how much money you've got left in the bank. I feel confident telling you now that we have about $1 million in unassigned funds because I've spoken with the auditors. I would feel very nervous if I told you that that's all we needed and I was going to trust it, and any other dollar we had over that we were going to send back out again, unless the auditors told me all along that was right. They didn't do that. The last complete county audit was in 2021. 2022 and 23 are in process now. The reason they're behind is a lack of auditors. I had a citizen complain to me the other day, when are we going to stop complaining about COVID? But I'm sorry, it's true. We lost a lot of accountants. The county's audit is also huge. It's complicated because I don't even understand the unorganized territories, but it's its own separate audit. They actually put out an RFP for an auditor. I forget the year. Do you remember, Dan? I'd have to look that up. But and got no responses. No one offered to do the audit, so they got on the phone and had to start asking people directly. We do have an auditor in place. The county does. They are working on the 2022 and 2023 audits. The budget committee has already voted to say we're not going to walk into the next process until those are done, so the county has to prioritize that. But that's just where it is. I get asked a lot, do we have a complete audit and why not? And that's the situation. The other big question I get asked is about accountability or culpability for this missing money. There's no indication so far that anything has been stolen. What I'll show you with some numbers now is that what happened was the county saw expenses rise significantly year to year and basically told themselves they were able to keep taxation low, at 1.0% increase, even though expenses had increased by 8%. And somehow they would be able to do that just by carrying over money from before. It's mismanagement. And it's, I came on the county budget committee last year when this was discovered. So I wasn't there. It feels kind of crappy to point it out, but it's true that the treasurer, the commissioners, the budget committee, the manager at that time missed what was happening here. While the hole got dug, no one saw it happen. No one's left. The commissioners are all gone. It's a new manager. Treasurer is new. Most of the budget committee is new. However, we are not dismissing the possibility that there could have been wrongdoing. The amount of money is so large, it would be foolish not to at least take care of it. So the question was posed to the district attorney, who works for the county, so he immediately, of course, said he had a conflict of interest, and the matter has been turned over to the state attorney general, and it will be in their hands to determine if any real malfeasance has occurred. So I keep talking about how they miss these numbers. That's what this slide is about. This is missing the obvious. The first column is how much money the budget as passed was needed. It's $6.1 million in 2018. It goes up to $9.7 million by 2024, and it increases significantly. I'll show a graph in a second that will help you see this as well. In 2018, they thought they could carry forward $50,000, which is only 1% of the amount they needed. By 2023, by 2022, really that, they somehow think there's 19% of their budget can be covered by money that wasn't spent before. Even if that were actually true, what that indicates to me is not that you're carrying forward, it indicates to me you are grossly overtaxing, which is the opposite of what was going on. But no one caught this. If you've heard this story from me before, I joined the budget committee last year. I've been city manager for 6 months. Those of you who may not know me, I don't have a background in municipal government, but I've lived here for 29 years in January, and I took it on. So I thought I'd have a pleasant time learning, hey, how does the county work? This table came from a document I wrote, because we came into it and everybody was surprised that the auditors had suddenly said we couldn't carry forward anymore. And these numbers come from the front sheet, the summary sheet of the budget. It was right there to be seen, but nobody, the treasurer maintained that everything was fine, and this is purely Brian's opinion right now, because it meant you could keep taxation low, no one asked how or why. They just said, isn't that great? This graph, the text is hard to see, but it's the shape that's important. That blue line is those increasing expenses, net expenses, the amount you say you need to run. It increases from 2018 to 2019. That's a 5.4% increase, a 9.4% increase, a 3.3, a 10.3, a 9.3, a 9.2. It's been increasing very quickly. There are reasons for that, and I can address that. Anyone who knows what's happened, like with the state police situation and other things, knows there's been a reason the county expenses have gone up. But the orange line is what they taxed for. That gap in the middle is how much they thought they could afford to reduce taxes by, and they were wrong. Part of the reason they were wrong is they were misunderstanding how this was working, but part of the reason why is they were actually double accounting for it. And again, anyone who thinks this might have been done to like steal money, no, it's visible on in this case you need to look at the first page and the second page. I didn't give you that whole thing, but in fiscal year 2022, they approved $9 million in expenses that were going to be offset by $1.4 million in carryover. But when you look at the next year to see what they put in the budget system, they put $10.2 million of expenses. My belief is what happened there is when they talked about doing carryovers, they talked about each department being able to get money they carried over. So if I'll pick on emergency management. If emergency management came in $50,000 under, we could offset next year's emergency management by $50,000. Or we could just add it to their budget. I think that's what they did. Now, that difference is only about $1 million instead of 1.4, but they also did this on the revenue side. The problem is, then when you look at the actual thing they show revenues, they show an additional $1.4 million to be subtracted out for carryovers. So they took this number, subtracted out the carryover number, and then added it back in the next year. It's even worse in 2023, because in 2023, the commissioners said they didn't understand how carryovers worked. So in that one, the first column is what they call the 2023 budget. And I'm sorry these numbers are so tiny for you, but I'll just pick on EMA again. $150,000. And then they said, what's the departmental carryover from 2022? It's $21,000. So we'll just budget $128,290. So they subtracted it out, at least they did it explicitly, for a total of $10 million there, and that's what they put in total department expenditure. And then in revenues, they put $1.3 million of carryover. They spent it twice. Right there on just those two pages, almost $3 million of double spending. Now the good news is, the county has been very, very good. The county department heads have been very good at underspending their budgets. We believe we're looking at an actual deficit in the unassigned funds. I think it's still between 2.5 and 3. Dan, is that right? I think so. If they had actually spent what they were permitted to spend, it would be twice that deep. We'd be looking at $6 million in the hole. There's a lot more to this story. I can explain. How is it possible people didn't see this in cash flow? If you've heard about some talk about the COVID money that was spent on the sheriff's department, I can explain that. Again, nothing was stolen, but people let themselves be confused by how much money was in the bank and not actually accounting for how much of that was available. I'll use an example. Right now, we're actually in pretty good shape. Eastport has about $3.3 million in the bank. However, that's mostly your tax money that's going to pay for services until June and into next year. That's why we say we only have about $1 million in unassigned funds. We keep it all in one bank account, but we account for it separately in our system. The county amazingly did the opposite. They put the COVID funds in another account, but when it came time to calculate cash balance, they added it all together. And then when all that money went out, when the county budget, when the sheriff's department was done, that happened this spring. And that people realized just how bad the situation was, and the TAN actually went from $3-point-something million to 7.8 at that point, because there was a problem being concerned about covering payroll in the middle of the summer. So, I did not put a slide in here. I'll get to questions in just a second. I did not actually have time to write a slide for how do we make sure this doesn't happen again, but I'll address that now. First of all, I want to show you what happened here wasn't some sort of subtle mistake. It was, and this is a brutal way to put it, it's crowdsourced stupidity. It took a village to make this mistake. Because for 5 and 6 years, the budget was brought forward. The budget committee looked at it and approved it. The commissioners looked at it and approved it. The treasurer seems not to have understood some of what was going on and reassured the commissioners that things were fine when they weren't. Like I said, I was on last year budget committee the first time. I was able to, I saw that when I was just there. The fact that this has happened already means for sure everyone's keeping a much closer eye on the budget. The budget committee has asked the commissioners to consider constituting the budget committee as a finance committee outside of budget time, so it would be quarterly. Sit down, go through the books, take a look at things, have another set of eyes looking at things. The current treasurer is no longer in place. You may not be aware, one of the issues with the treasurer, though, is that the treasurer is an elected position in most counties, as a matter of fact. The Washington County treasurer was, in fact, the highest paid treasurer that I could find recently, at $44,000, which is insufficient for someone who's managing a $7 to $9 to $10 million budget. The reason she's so high paid at that number is in most other counties, the treasurer is essentially a figurehead position. There are treasurers in other counties who make $5,000. But the municipality, the county, has a finance director who has accounting background and who runs it and was paid rather more. The current county budget before the commissioners, it'll be presented to the commissioners officially tomorrow, has a finance director position in it. And they're talking about what they'll do to change the nature of the elected position. Right now we do have an interim treasurer, Grace Falconzano, who's from Columbia Falls, right? Columbia Falls. She's doing a very good job kind of coming in at an emergency, and I talked with her. She's working on doing, I could bore you all night with details of how the county books are confusing, how they don't make proper use of funds and things like that, but she's on top of that. So I can't say it's foolproof because fools are so ingenious, but I would like to think this is a mistake that is so simple to detect it couldn't possibly be made again. And certainly as long as I serve, I'll make sure it doesn't. Dan, would I add to that?
I'd like to add just some of the compounding factors as well that we just need to recognize. The fact that we no longer have state police coverage in Washington County, which added additional sheriff headcount to cover that. That's a bill has been addressed. I can just talk loud.
Well, this is mostly for the captioner, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hear it. You guys hear me all right, or is this off? How about now?
Just speak into it, project. Let's see what.
Hello?
Sit talking.
Hello? Housekeeping?
No, I apologize to everyone. Just in case there might be feedback when I do this. There we go. You've been muted this whole time. I apologize.
Hello?
That's better.
Okay. So, state police, we haven't had them, how long have we not had them in Washington County?
2019. Yeah, right in front of your face. Yeah, state police removed rural patrol. They will still respond. They do rural policing, they call that. But there's been no rural patrol. When we lost state police, we lost state support for their side of 911 and dispatch. So the regional call center, 911, had to add a number of positions. The county only gets a judge 21 days a year. So that means the jail, the last time I got the number, and this is about a month ago, they changed daily, but I remember it was a month ago, Richie said there were 53 people in the jail. The jail is built to hold 43. Of those 53, 4 of them had been sentenced. which meant the remaining 49 were awaiting trial.
And let's add, we're covering their medications,
Right.
their food, their doctor's appointments on the county dime, while the state only provides us a judge 3 weeks a year.
So part of the tragedy in all of this is some of the stuff that's been happening with respect to...
Unfortunately, the DAs have to do some creative things.
Yeah.
And we share our DA as well.
Let them out.
The other issue that I want to bring up, which if they read the county budget, is the 10% annual raises for union employees, which accounts for $2.1 million in the next 3 years just in added salaries. Now, I hate to say raises because it was really more of a market adjustment for a lot of these employees. I'm sure you know most law enforcement is grossly underpaid in general. Just horrible timing. You know, we sit there on the board like, who the heck agreed to 10% raises in the public sector? If you consider more market adjustments, it makes sense, but it still hurts. It's $2.1 million in additional salaries over the next next 2 years. Because
I will say the current budget, exempt and non-union have agreed to take a cost of living instead of the 10% that have been given to them. So there is some movement among employees.
The other thing I thought, Brian, maybe you could talk a little bit about, so these guys can hear it as well, is what's already been done to make sure this doesn't get replicated, but also what have we done already to cut down and make this budget as lean as possible to this point? You know, we're talking about moving the RCC, possibly selling a building. We've already left a couple of positions unfilled. So if you could maybe speak to that.
Yeah, so the budget that was brought to us by the commissioners in September was what they have since called essentially a reasonable, responsible budget for the level of services we currently provide. And that's an important concept because the bank wants to see that too. They want to know that whatever we're doing, we're actually going to pay for the services we can do because we need to be reliable that way. It came in at 25% increase. Some of that is what Dan has spoken to. Some of that is other inflation. Some of that is because in last year's budget process, the budget committee chased a number. They came in at 20, they actually came in at almost 40 last year, and then came down to 27 after we made some prudent and obvious cuts. But at that point, the budget committee, I actually moved it at 27%. I was on that committee. I moved and voted in favor, and it was defeated. It was then sent back to the finance department saying, basically, make it lower with no clear direction. It came back at 21%. It passed at 21%. No one looked at what had been done. Lines that were called reserve lines, for historical reasons I won't bore you with, but there were some things going on in 2018 and 2019 to deal with lines that changed a lot, and they called them reserves, were zeroed out. Some of those included things like liability insurance, things you cannot zero out. And so the 25% budget brought to us restored about $700,000 of that kind of money. So the budget committee, and I want to say the sheriff's office and Mike Crabtree offered most of what we've been able to deal with right now. They've removed 2 of the vacancies in the sheriff's department, 1 in RCC, 1 in the jail. They've come up with a fleet management model for dealing with police vehicles, which we think will make things cheaper. There was the willingness of the salaried and non-union employees to, they have been promised a cut that was a raise rather that matched those of the unions, and that's been taken back to a cost of living adjustment. And now I want to make sure, there were some things that have been discussed that I can go through it all.
Yeah,
at this point.
it's just good for these guys to hear that, you know,
We've
there's
cut
plans to-
$600,000 out of that initial budget, but it's still at 19%.
And I don't know if Brian answered this, but December 31st is when that TAN is due by statute. I don't know, I think.
I wasn't going to get the statute versus my bank default date. But
And same with your point about, you know, non-payment, it's a state statute. The DA will gladly take that case and win it every single time. So we don't really have much choice there. To Brian's point about the treasurer, in my mind, that should have never been an elected position, ever. Ever. Like, that'd be like hiring a plumber, electing a plumber to do your electrical. It makes no sense to me at all. So there's been plans in that we hire a finance director and really minimize payment for that treasurer if we could. It would take another statewide, not a statewide vote, but at least a countywide vote, right, to do away with an elected treasurer.
I don't know if that's that or if it has to go to the state. Because it's not just us. This is a historical thing in the state of Maine, and I don't know why. If anyone knows the history of the government of Maine, I'd be curious.
And when it comes to ownership and accountability, the AG has the entire case. Obviously, there's a conflict of interest with the DA. There are questions whether the treasurer and the commissioners were bonded. Both were bonded. To what amount? I still don't know.
So it was bounded to $400,000 in general, because that's the state tort limit. That's the most that you can sue a municipality for, plus $50,000 in costs. There are, under certain circumstances, it can go as high as $1 million, but that was as high as it went.
And again, that would come back to us, and potentially we would see some rebates or...
And that's between the county and its insurance program.
And that's going to take some time.
Yeah, that's not going to help us before December 31st.
The other thing that I want to mention is this practice of borrowing money to pay operational expenses and the interest that we're all paying. It's exorbitant. We need to all move to a fiscal year, which Brian touched on, and maybe even move to paying monthly county taxes. If you think about it, you're trying to run a business and you get paid once or twice a year, good luck.
Is that something the commissioners can change, or is that something the county has to do?
The county can change the fiscal year. We checked that, because at first we thought that was by statute.
And there's some pain with that too. I mean, because you're going to have to pay.
There's going to be a year where
Yeah.
it's...
It's going to feel like twice because of where it lands in your budget cycle. Over time, it's still the same amount, but because, if we had been paying the 2026 stuff and we budgeted that in the 2026 taxes, we'd be fine with a change in the fiscal year, but we've always waited later. So that means when that happens, yeah, you're going to feel, I can go through it. It always feels like, how does it always feel like you're paying more? But it does.
And Brian, maybe you can cover this better than me, just in case I'm unclear. The sheriff's office, and I get this asked a lot, so I want to bring it up. Why did we build that sheriff's office? They had an ARPA fund that was funding that, paying for that project. And then, of course, they ran short on funds, and they borrowed some money from the TAN. Is that correct?
So let's be clear. Yeah, so a couple of things. The decision to build the building was a previous commission's decision. It was made. It was something you could spend ARPA funds on, and so they chose to spend it on. I have not yet seen this yet, but it's been said a couple of times that yes, when the county hit a cash flow problem, that the treasurer may have transferred funds out of the ARPA into the operating, but then back again. That money has been accounted for and reported to federally, as far as I understand. That's still wrong, but it's not money that's disappeared. It just
adds.
It's another sign of the kind of practices that we're.
So, two more things, Brian. Thanks so much for doing this. You've done a tremendous job articulating what's happened and our vision for the future. They're lucky to have you. Second, I'm in Lubec. Our share is $423,000. We have 1,100, 1,200 year-round residents, and fortunate to have 91 miles of beach. So the state values us at $300 million. So, yeah, we're in it as well.
All right, I think Dan and I have said our piece. Questions? Maybe you guys first.
There is a rumor that says if this defaults, we lose the money that we have paid ahead.
The money is owed. The money is owed, and it's owed by the county. And the money that the county owes is paid by the municipalities. If we go into default, things could get bad. Don't get me wrong. The county could find itself unable to get a TAN except at 15 or 20% interest. But the obligation will not go away. And if we pay, we will have paid our part of that obligation.
But if we pay and these other towns don't pay, what happens to our money?
So it will still have offset the TANs. That TAN amount will still have to be paid for. If that TAN defaults and incurs more interest and penalties, those who did not pay will be paying that interest and penalty. It will go on their county tax, not on ours, because we all paid our part of that TAN. That money's just going to that money's going to be paid one way or another, even if the county defaults. It can't go out of business. It can't, by the way, even go into bankruptcy. I'll leave it at that. But the state does not permit counties to go into bankruptcy. Marion Moore has a bill out that's come out, ought to pass from the legislature, but who knows if they'll get to it, and it's too late to help us now. And even if it did, it may not help you that much, because bankruptcy would have enabled us to do things like reopen union contracts. it would also still have destroyed our credit. And as we pointed out, the county is debt funded. It's been debt funded since the beginning of time, more or less, as far as I know. But
So, this $300,000 or so, with the $324,000 we've got to take out.
Yep,
I assume we're getting interest on that money right now.
we are.
Okay, what's versus we paying it early so we don't have to pay interest? So what's the biggest,
I would have to go look at what we are getting in interest on that money. I know we are. If we're
Yeah,
showing up in our line there, I don't know what it is.
I
The
mean,
10
this is a
at
damned if you
5
do and a damned if you don't.
The
you
10
know?
is at 5.4% right now.
It's how much
I
now?
believe 5.4%. I think it's
In
what
the
they-
fives.
It's in the fives. I may have the second digit wrong, but it's
So how much are we earning on this money?
we're not earning that much.
Okay.
It wouldn't be 5%.
No.
It'd be
It'd
2,
be
3%.
about
That's
3%
necessary.
probably.
If we're lucky.
But if we don't pay it, we would also have the interest
Correct.
more
Right.
later. I just don't want to lose money sending it forward.
No, it's everyone's concern. I will point out, actually, I meant to, I think I have it somewhere. We are keeping track of what communities have and have not agreed to do.
Just got a list tonight. Do you want it? I got it from Renee, the updated.
Yeah, I got it. I printed it out. I think I may have just put it away without handing it out to them. Or I will find that for you. I know I have it. I put it down.
What percentage of the can is covered so far, do we know?
Yes.
A little over 2 million.
Over 2 million
Over
already.
2 million at this point.
I just got an email from Renee spelling out the towns that have already paid.
I'm sorry, folks. If anyone sees legal-sized paper with spreadsheet on it, I know I even had it out. I was about to distribute it.
Brian, do you have,
Ah, there it is. There it is. Thank you,
do you
AJ.
have that, Brian?
Yeah. Okay. I will point out, there are some communities that are there as no. That doesn't necessarily mean they haven't, they voted it down. They're just saying they're not considering it. Without getting into details, I know of at least one community that had said no, that is now holding a meeting to discuss it.
Brian,
Right.
the captioner's having trouble with background noise and people talking over one another.
Ah.
So we're getting some inaudibles, folks are starting to talk a little quickly.
Okay. And yes, and when we got talking, make sure people have microphones. What am I doing? I'm holding. So,
That pretty much sums up your presentation.
I'm sure, as you guys know, I could probably go for another hour if you want the details, but I'll stop there.
Okay. I tend to agree with you. This gentleman has done an outstanding job in the county. He didn't ask for it. He got tagged with it by taking that position. Okay. But thank you, Brian, on behalf of this council. And we're fortunate in a lot of ways because we're getting it firsthand, because he's sitting there going through this dilemma with everybody else. And I hope that this presentation has kind of cleared up or at least broadened your knowledge of why we're here, what we're here for. And as I said before, I'll certainly take questions and we'll do our best to try to answer them. Again, I would ask that you please come to the microphone. That is for the closed captioning. It's not for us. It's just so that people that are listening on Zoom can understand who's talking and who's asking what questions. And I don't know whether the council has any more comments or questions of Brian or anybody. No?
I have one comment. I
Okay.
appreciate you coming from Lubec and Brian doing this, but you know, it should have been a commissioner here tonight. They get paid for this.
I'll take a bit of the hit for that. I've been saying all along that, I'm the chair of the committee. I'll talk in Eastport. However, yesterday, actually, I was in Dennisville doing the same thing. And I talked actually with our vice chair, Ben Edwards, who would have been our other rep, and he unfortunately had another meeting right now. And this afternoon, I was talking with Renee. And I said, actually, it probably wouldn't be bad if a commissioner could make it. But, and it would have been Dave Burns would have been our guys. But Dave's down, he was in, I want to say, he was some way other part of the county. I'm sure they would be happy if council wants to meet again or direct any specific questions to be here. They've attended, we've been holding full day meetings most Wednesdays since September, and most of the commissioners have been to all of it. Dave, I believe, has been to all of it. This has been a mutual effort together. And yes, so the commissioners did not decide not to be here. I asked too late.
Okay.
And I think you stated it earlier, Brian, that the commissioners have taken this on because none of them were there when this all started. So this is all, they're probably wondering if the pay is enough.
Well, they're like, why did I do this?
Exactly. But they're doing their best, and everybody's doing their best. But I, like this council up here, would like to hear from you. What are your thoughts? What are your concerns? What are your, everybody has, don't pay tax, do pay tax. And we have to make the best decision, but we need to hear from you. What do you feel? Do you feel that anybody's done any unjust here other than what's already been stated? Do you think that we're going the right course by getting, I think that they're doing the best that they could with trying to hire a financial person. I think you need to have that financial background, and you need to be accountable to somebody other than the voters. The voters are easy to thank you for your vote and then go do the things that they want to do. If you're accountable to the commissioners or like here, our treasurer is accountable to us, or our manager. Our manager is accountable to us. That's the way it should be in the county. But nonetheless, I think that we're very fortunate in a lot of ways because we have the money available to pay this without having to borrow. Many municipalities are going out and borrowing money to pay this. That's another taxation. We're not in that position. We're fortunate enough that we can take care of it. I would rather do that ahead of time than pay interest and penalties. I'm not strong on those. But I want to hear from you. And I think this council wants to hear from you. So please, step right up here and state your name, please, and we'll absolutely like to hear from you.
Fred Thomas, 8 Key Street. I have 3 questions, if I may, or 3 comments, really, that they may be ones that others have. The first one was the question that the councilman here offered about whether if we pay and others don't pay, that it's a guarantee that the other people will have the accrued interest and the accumulated sort of things, and it's not on Eastport. And that would be good to know that that's actual truth and not just comment or what, and then I'll say a couple more.
Sure.
And then the second one was, what are the actual options? Because I kind of hear, and I sort of agree with the idea of the payoff and get it done and get it out of the way. But there really is not a presentation of what are the absolute options are and what all of them are. Like what happens, what truly happens if you default, what truly happens and what it'll look like if you borrow, just sort of all the options that are available, good, bad, ugly, otherwise. And then the third, the slide said no immediate impact on taxpayers. And I want to know if the italics were sort of meant as it's coming, or if it was just sort of you were trying to emphasize that this is the positive part of this, that there's no immediate impact.
Sure, thank you. So I'll take those in order. Maybe at the end of the meeting, I do have, the commissioners have passed resolutions stating that the money for prepayment only goes to the TAN, that you don't pay interest, that it pays you off. So I can get all that for you, but it's not just, that's just not an opinion. They've taken formal steps to do that, and I can find the text of that for you. Yeah, I didn't present a lot of options because at the county level, we haven't been able to find any other one. Our options were to either borrow to try to pay this gap, and that's what the bond was about. The county is not permitted to borrow without going to a referendum, and that failed. And so this, as far as we can tell, is the only other option we could come up with. I can't tell you necessarily what will exactly happen if we default, because this is unprecedented. This has not happened before. So to a certain extent, yeah, can I sit here and tell you that, my fear, I can tell you my fear, which is that if we fully default, that either we will not be able to get a TAN right away, in which case we could find the county running out of money and then only being able to run the state mandated, the things that are mandated by the state, which is the jail, for example. The jail will not close, but deeds would. No more property sales until they solve the problem.
No probate.
No probate, no divorce, no inheritance, no adoption until that's taken care So I'm going to stop listing things. I don't want to. I don't want to be trying to fearmonger. I just say I don't really know what's going to happen. I know it's going to be bad because at the very least, if you default and you can get a loan, we know the interest rate is going to be punishing because that's what default is all about. As far as our options, I did not present an option to borrow here because honestly, because I thought we had the money to do this and it would save the impact on the taxpayer. I prioritized making sure I can do that. My belief is that we probably would be borrowing at a rate that is pretty close to what the current county 10 is, from what I've been able to see, in the low 5%. And so we can certainly borrow $323,000 at 5%. We just, at our last meeting, we bought the replacement dump truck, $260,000 at 5.5% for 7 years. Something. I'll get the details on that. And that is an option. I guess I'll leave that to the council. If you guys want to consider that, it's just I knew we could do that. And so I didn't do a whole lot of further research to worry about it. But is that the best solution? Well, we can certainly talk about that. No immediate impact. Yeah, that was kind of intended to say, look, we're taking our unassigned funds down to fairly low. We're going to have to make sure we have enough overlay in our coming budget to make sure that we keep that unassigned balance where we need it in our policy. That might add a little to taxes. We are emptying capital except for the stuff that we promised to pay. And we know we have a lot of capital to deal with. Right now, for example, in the last few years' budgets, the city puts $98,000 into the capital fund. And that's why we have the money that's sitting there. And we'll do that again next year. Might I come back to at budget time and say, I think we probably should put $150 in that so we can get City Hall done and a little bit of road and have a little bit in there for next year? I might. And that would be a raise in taxes if I couldn't get it from somewhere else. But it's that kind of thing. It would be things you could make decisions about and educated choices, not anything that would be imposed from above.
Whereas if we don't pay it, we've got to put this onto our budget, that extra $323,000.
You'd be going to $850,000 on county tax, or I may get that math wrong, the last two digits, but more than $800,000 in county tax as it currently stands.
Brian, if I could add to, if we do default on the existing TAN, the bank will come calling on that note, just so we're clear. And then the state comes in, and then we have absolutely, no flame around, but no idea what they're going to do. That they will take over the county operation. And that's a real unknown for me. That is alarming to me. I like the idea.
I mean, I have said, so I think I can say again, choosing not to pay, I think, or having the county say, well, we'll just go in default and see what's going on, is I call it playing chicken with the state. Because it would be a very, very bad situation, and the state would have to do something. And if you think the state's going to give us a better deal than we're looking at right now, if we have them come in, you see things through different lenses than I do. So,
just look at the state police. They abandoned us.
I did see a state police car Jones bar today.
I'm sorry, Bill, it's your meeting.
Yeah,
I've been chair of
it looks like I've got some hands and I've got some people moving, so Al, please come forward.
I wanted to ask, does the county have any assets that they'll be able to sell to pretty much help fix this problem?
So, of course, we're not going to sell anything by December 31st.
No.
But, so actually, one of the things we discussed, it actually did not get voted into this year's budget, but I'm going to step back briefly. Let you know where the actual budget process stands right now. The Budget Committee has submitted its estimate to the commissioners. That happened last Wednesday. The commissioners are going to, I assume, probably be acting on it tomorrow. And if I was a betting man, I'd say almost certainly they'll say they want to do some more work on it. And next Wednesday, we're going to hammer it out. And so this next thing I'm going to mention might be one of the things on the table. Like Ben Edwards, who's from Panchayas, has brought forward the idea of moving the RCC and, I won't be specific, moving a couple of agencies into another building and selling off a couple of other buildings. That's a possibility. I don't think we have any real liquid assets that are worth selling. It's not like, I'm not aware that the county has like a vehicle they're not using that they can sell.
But land assets and stuff, does anybody know what assets that they have? Washington County?
Not right now, no.
No, nobody knows.
I know. That's a good question, and I'm sure the commissioners
Chris,
will
he
know.
probably knows, right?
Yeah, sorry?
Probably ask Chris.
Yeah, Chris might know. And there have been some other questions. I will not try to get through the whole business with the TIF district and the wind farm, but we have met with people on that, and the quick answer is there's money there, and it's dedicated to that purpose, and so it's not going to be able to be used for operating. It can't solve our immediate problem.
And then another thing, what he said, the nonprofits that we have in town and the stuff that's coming in, the big piece of land that we have, the solar farm, they're not getting taxed, right?
Across from the gas
That's
station.
not nonprofit.
That's not a
That's not
nonprofit.
nonprofit.
No, it's not a nonprofit, but there's a lot of nonprofit things happening in town that doesn't pay taxes. And I keep on hearing that he wants to buy more houses and he lives in a nonprofit and stuff like that.
I'm sorry, I honestly don't know what you're talking about, Alan. If you want,
Are there people in town?
yeah.
Tides Institute.
Oh, the Tides Institute.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can talk about that. Obviously, you know that the law states that if you're a nonprofit, you don't have to pay.
But most of them do.
Some do payments in lieu of taxes. If you want to talk about that, it's just because it's not central to this issue. I'm going to ask maybe move past it, but I suggest you talk with Dan because Lubec has land trusts, and they do a whole lot of stuff there, and he's a real expert on that. You can talk with him.
And one other thing, if the taxes are probably going to go up next year, the seniors are the ones getting pounded by the taxes, right? The fuel, oil, or taxes and food. And I talked to a good amount of them that've been here for a long time, and I don't want to tell you how many tanks we filled up last year. But it's going to be worse this year, yeah? Is there any cost cutting that you're looking at, maybe the $250,000?
I will be presenting the budget in February, Alan. I certainly have a lot of ideas, but I can't speak to that now. That's not where my time has been.
Is it are you gonna work on things that pretty much save some seniors are getting here?
Well, we'll have to talk about that then. You mean cutting means reducing services, Alan?
Yeah.
So we have to talk about what services the people and the council are willing to do. It's always on the table. It has to be on the table, but I can't offer you anything today.
But we should, right? We should look at it if the taxes are gonna go.
That's
Looking at it, yeah.
That's exactly what the budget process is all about, and we'll be talking about constituting the budget committee a little bit later on this agenda.
Thank you.
Alan, thank you. Very good questions. Gene? Whoops. Whoops. Wow.
Race up here.
There you go.
Okay, Deborah Gillespie, 7 Shackford Street. This really sounds like a conundrum, that's for sure, and it's a little hard to wrap your head around it. When you're saying our fiscal year is different, yet we're going to take money from our next fiscal year to pay for things this fiscal year we don't really usually do, correct?
Just to make sure we're saying the same thing. We will be drawing money from funds in this fiscal year, yes, that we would not normally have done. But,
Right.
yeah.
So next year, where are we coming up with that shortfall?
We're coming up with that shortfall because we have enough in our unassigned fund, in our surplus, and we will be reducing capital. So it will not, it doesn't directly affect taxes, and it's not like I have to turn around and put $323,000 in next year's tax, because we have to make that up. We're still within our limits on unassigned funds. But I did already speak to the issue that for capital, we'll have to talk about if we might need to tax back some of that.
Right, so remind me again of what you said was the actual legal mandate of what we need in unassigned funds.
There is no legal mandate, it's a policy that the council has set.
Right.
It's 800, right now it's 11 months of taxation, which is approximately $820,000.
Okay, so
Months or weeks.
we'll be under that.
11 weeks, I'm sorry. 11 weeks of taxation, my apologies.
Okay, all right. So what do we actually bring in taxation, and what % of that goes to the county?
Our taxation this past year was about $3.8 million, our county tax was $400,000. So slightly more than 10%, 10 or 11%.
Okay, and then when you're, what is the method by which you assess property taxes in our city?
Well, so that's a big, big topic. Briefly,
I'm just
property
trying to
taxes are assessed
understand how
on the
much
value
money
of
we
your
really
property.
have in-
The assessment process, I can't speak to, I'd have to talk to my assessor, but it's a standard state process. It is intended to assess the value of your property, so you get taxed more, the more valuable your real estate is.
That didn't really make sense, I'm just saying. So
It's a
And we
regressive
need a
tax.
reevaluation done.
Yeah, it
We're
makes
looking to
sense.
have someone reevaluate.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I'll
so
argue
is
it's
it
actually, it's a
based on-
regressive tax because the value of your house is not a measure of your ability to pay, but that's how we do it in this state.
All right, so I'm just concerned that we're spending money out of next year's that is supposed to be for this year.
We're essentially,
And
we're spending out of savings.
we're gonna have quite the winter, is my understanding.
Yeah.
But it sounds like we're doing the same thing the council or the county did.
No, not at all.
Spending money
We have the
think
money.
we have,
We are-
but we haven't had the audit yet for sure.
True.
But you're believing that
I'm
it's
believing my
potentially
auditors, though.
there.
My auditors have not given me a final statement, but I didn't make up that $1 million figure. That came to me
Okay.
from my auditors.
And I would like to believe all that too, but when I go online to try to find our tax commitment and our revenue and actual budget
Yes.
and how it's really being spent, there is nothing
There
there
is
for
nothing there.
me
Yes.
to have faith that all of this is
If you would
actual.
like to come into my office, now part of that is because
You're too busy to
we're
get
too
an
busy.
appointment with.
But right now, actually, we also, now that we have Sarah and Hannah and everybody else there, we have a new website that, it's not going to look that much different from the old website, but we had to wait on it. It's being moved over because our vendor had to move it over. On the 18th of December, it will not have a whole bunch of new information, but we will be able to start posting more regularly. For example, I've given the council a financial report, which is just a high-level summary and some other things. I intend to post that going forward. I haven't. However, I am absolutely, trust me, if you've got a free 3 or 4 hours, I would love to sit down and talk through our financial situation with anyone else, with more eyes or not.
Okay, because I know we had quite a tax hike this past year because we didn't
2 years.
have enough money that you felt in our reserves, or if I remember reading in the Quaddy Tides correctly.
I guess I don't remember saying something quite like that, but it's possible I said something that could have been misconstrued, so I'm not going to disagree with you. But again, I'd be happy to show you what happened last
Okay.
year.
And then just my last question, because it hasn't been clarified in my head quite yet. We pay our share, 4 or 5 others pay their share. What happens, where's the money going to come from to pay the rest on the people that are absolutely putting their foot down? And how is that going to impact us in the future? We don't really know the answer to that, do we?
But the belief is, right now, they have this list of the communities that have already contributed. I think the word is getting out about what needs to happen there. The hope is, we're probably not going to get to the full $8 million. First of all, we hope we don't have to get that far because we hope we're not going to draw on it. But it has to be enough so that the bank can justify reissuing a tax anticipation note to us on January 2nd. I'm not an officer of the county, so I can't speak directly to the bank, so I can't talk about that negotiation. But this is part of that process. This is something that the banks need to see, that as much of the county is stepping forward as possible.
I mean, I'm concerned because I don't want to lose sheriffs. We already are short-staffed in that department. And it's not like crime is going down in this county and drug problems and all of that. And I think the way our state has been run is an abomination that we've lost so many services to our county. So I hope people really think through these things when they vote the next time. Who the hell are you putting in office? That's all I'm going to say.
Fair enough.
Thank you, Deb. I think Jean was next, and then Rich. They were all jumping up there at once.
I know.
I had a question. What happens if not enough of the towns put in this money to get to the $823,000 that we need to pay off by the December 31st?
So again, I think my understanding is that if it's a significant proportion, and nobody's putting a fixed number on that, so it doesn't have to be all the way up to the 8 million, but we have to show good faith from the county that we're going to pay off, a significant portion. So a couple large towns can maybe drop out, but that's it. If that doesn't happen, my belief, again, this is unprecedented. So I'm telling you what my belief is, but I can't tell you this for sure. My belief is the bank will find that the county is in default. It will take the necessary legal steps to recover its money. Those of us who have prepaid will not be part of that because we will have paid our portion of the TAN. And then the question will be, where does additional funding for the county come from going forward? And I don't know.
Okay, one of the things that was brought up too, thank you.
Yeah.
One of the things that was brought up too is that we have so many bodies in the jail that have not even gone to trial. What happened to the right to a speedy trial? And if they cannot provide us the judges to get those speedy trials, why are we not charging that department with what it's doing to maintain our guys who haven't been tried?
The answer to your second question is we can't. The state won't let us. The state drives the jails.
So they can give us 21 days of judge, but then leave them so that we are responsible for maintaining them?
Let me put it this way. You raise a good question about due process. But to be able to address that, somebody has to, take the legal step to move forward with that. And nobody has at this point. One of the tragedies of what happened here is that what's been happening to us since 2018 with the state has been kind of hidden from us. It's been cushioned from us because we didn't see the cost of it until today. So there's a lot of political activity that could potentially have happened over that period as these things kept happening that we got behind on. But it's going to be ultimately a political effort. And the good news, if you want to call it that, is we're not alone. You may be aware that Penobscot County is having its own set of problems that's driven by the jail.
I don't need to be on the Titanic to sink either. But I would like to know, and maybe you guys can pull a number together, what it's costing us to maintain these people who are awaiting trial, medically feeding them, housing them, and everything else that needs to happen because we can't get a judge.
It's quite significant.
To ask the question, how much because we can't get a judge, that implies maybe a more complicated calculation. I can certainly tell you what the jail budget is.
Well, okay, but we have...
And then you can make your own estimate of,
adjudicated and the rest have not?
Four.
Who've been adjudicated, the rest have not.
Right.
It's near 50 that have not.
But we're maintaining them. So if they're non-violent, why do we let them go?
Oh my God.
That's not my call.
Holy cow.
It's not our call, but the reality is that we're footing the bill.
Yeah.
So it should be our call.
Fair enough. I guess I don't have a reaction to that.
I would think that it would be a county's decision to release them, not a council's decision.
That's fine.
Yeah, but somebody needs to approach the county. Yeah, so it's just like in the same statement that you made, can we get an accountability of what it's costing us? That comes from the commissioners because it's a county budget department. It's not the council's department. Municipalities, we're all paying it.
Well, like I said, I'm not going to try to pull out a whole lot of detailed numbers right now. I can get them for you later. I can certainly tell you, how much the jail costs, and then you can say, how much would it cost less if we got 42 days of judge? Well, I don't exactly know. You could make a guess.
No, I understand that. But how much would it cost if we were just housing the adjudicated parties and people awaiting due process in a reasonable period of time? Because those people's rights are being violated.
Yes, exactly.
Not only are their rights being violated, but the expense that we're incurring. There was one inmate in particular that was $35,000 a month in medications.
The federal government does not permit Medicare to be used to pay people who are in jails, but the state of Maine does require that, and so it falls on the county.
So the state of Maine requires that we provide everything that they need, but they don't have to provide us a judge?
Sounds like the state police.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you.
That was rude. Thank you.
But real.
Thank you. Victoria?
Thanks. Victoria Gans, 15 Shackford Street. As a citizen and as a budget committee member, I do have two quick questions. Can a town or a city go bankrupt?
No.
Okay, so they can't go bankrupt.
Chapter
without a
9 right
county.
now.
No Chapter 9s on that, okay, that's easy. And is there a difference, maybe this is a legal term, between forensic accounting and an audit?
Yes.
Okay, is
So,
that more of a legal term?
Yeah, well, an audit is a normal process.
Correct.
An audit is, you get called in, your books are reviewed, are you following standard procedures, is everything correct? Now, in these smaller towns, the auditors are often more involved than that. I mean, literally some smaller towns, they do the equivalent of taking all your receipts to the accountant, and they do all the work. Ideally, that's not what you do. You run a little bit better, you have it together, and they tell you how to do that. It's mandated by law, it has to be done every year, and it's a fairly straightforward thing. A forensic audit is essentially you hire someone to come in and look at every single transaction to determine where it came from, what it was for, everything else like that. It is appropriate when you think that you've had money that's been stolen. It was Cutler, right? Cutler just went through one not that long ago. That they went to. And there's been talk about doing a forensic audit, which once we figure out exactly what that means, A, we would need to find someone to do it. B, it will cost an awful lot of money.
We just lost a lot.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Unfortunately, we lost a lot. The question is, how much more do you want to pay to make sure where it all went? And we'll just have to and that'll be a commissioner's call. They'll have to decide what they want to do there.
But if the AG decides to go forward, they might order it.
Exactly. And at the very least, of course, the county has got to push through getting the current audits done. Part of the point, we have a finance director, and some money was just added to the budget actually at the last meeting to help get external help for the finance committee in order to get all the stuff in order for the audit. The county finances are not in great shape for an audit. They need a lot of work and presentation, and that's part of the reason the audits take so long. So, yeah, it's not a good situation.
Okay, and then my comment is, as a budget committee member, I feel that we are fortunate as a city that we have established capital funds and we have established unassigned funds that we have enough money in them, clearly from this fiscal year, that we can pay this money before the 31st and not incur any penalties. And I think without the good work that you've done, perhaps we would not be in that position. And having said that, I think you should pay it just the way you laid it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria.
You're welcome.
Richard?
Richard Adams on South Street. How many towns in Washington County?
44, I want to say.
And how many are on that list?
44. Well, I'm going to say, I don't know how many's on that list, but they got to be all here.
Yeah.
Each district is separated out.
Okay, so they're in different districts.
1, 2, and 3, yes.
So the majority of them already agreed to pay it?
No, I wouldn't say that yet. We had by
I
just
say
the amount, a quarter of the amount has already been committed by other communities.
it looks like District 3. District 3 is pretty much
43 towns are on this.
Oh, very good, thank you.
all but 4.
I just counted.
District 3, which is the western.
There's 5 towns that said no.
Yeah.
Brian, on the other
1, 2, 3, 4.
counted on that list?
4 towns.
Edmund is on
Oh,
here,
no,
I
no, this is
think.
District 3.
No, they're not.
No?
No, so the UT is a frustrating one. The UT is paid for by the state. The UT owes $500,000, I think, something like that on the TAN. Or at least my last discussion with the state says they are prohibited by statute from paying that in advance because of the way the UT budget process works. I don't understand it, so I can't give you more detail on that. I'm sorry, Richard, in any case.
No, that's fine. I was just wondering how many were in the county and how many have agreed to.
Yeah, so it's about a quarter. I'd say at this point, I'm just trying to eyeball this. I'm going to say between 50 and 65% are actually considering this. Now, this doesn't mean they're not if they're not on this list. It just means they're trying to reach people. So, for example, Barry doesn't show any activity. That doesn't mean Barry won't pay, they just haven't gotten to him yet. Yeah.
So the unassigned territories, the state pays their?
The unorganized territories.
I won't go over that again, that was in my mind.
Yeah, and I don't really, somebody understands the UT better than I do. But yes, the UT is administered sort of jointly by the county, but there's a lot of state requirement around the money. Actually, Bill, you may know this better than I do. But in this particular case, the payment of county tax is done, the state pays that portion of county tax. I don't exactly understand the mechanism.
The state of Maine administers the property taxes for unorganized territories.
All right.
And they do that on the state's fiscal year.
Which is?
Which is July to June.
Okay.
And it would require legislation for them to pay in advance.
Yeah.
Because they don't get their money until they get billed out. And they get billed out in mid-July. The same as the city of Eastport, which has the same fiscal year as they do.
The commissioners and the committee have tried to talk with the state as much as we can. The state has made it clear they're not going to bail out Washington County. We are hoping that there may be something they can do to help and secure, some of these uncertainties we have about what if we don't quite get all the money and everything else, where I'm hoping the state maybe will help step in one way or another to help support us, but at this point I don't know anything in specific.
No, we dare rely on it.
Good evening, Julie.
Julie Hayward, 14 Madison Street. I know it won't help right now, but I'm wondering, is there any time in the future that the county budget is going to come to the taxpayers to vote on, instead of them just saying, no, this is what we're going to do, and you got to pay it?
That requires a change of statute. That's my understanding.
Well, the county budget wouldn't come to the taxpayers of the county. It goes to the commission, the budget committee. It goes to the commissioners, but the towns, like District 2, Brian's our representative.
Okay.
There's three people that are appointed to those districts to represent the towns in their area. Brian's our representative.
But maybe to your point, you may be referring to, I know Representative Toole has mentioned the possibility of having it done by the voters. That requires a change in state law.
It would, yeah.
That requires a change in state law, so it's not in our control.
Well, maybe even just for some of the big items, so that we can try to catch up for making up for this lack that was not there.
In any case, like I said, right now, it's not a tool we can use. It has to be provided to us. It has to go to the state and be passed as legislation. So, well, that might be interesting. It's a hypothetical. It's something we can work with right now.
And thank you for all of your work, everything that you did. You did great this summer in explaining the bond, and you've done great today.
Thank you.
And we appreciate what you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Anyone else from the audience? The young lady in the back, I wish you'd take a chair. You keep going back. Okay. But it's okay.
Okay.
I'm hoping that this presentation helped answer some of your questions. I mean, it certainly has answered some of mine. This is a much better piece of paper to look at, and I could see where we're at. But there again, it boils down to the same thing. It's a bill that we need to pay. Just trying to toss it around in my head, how to maybe put this in a better light. If you remember a couple of years ago, we were not charging enough for the sewer rates in Eastport because every year we kept putting it off because we didn't want to raise it too high. We didn't want to raise it too high. And in the fifth year, guess what? We raised it to catch up. And this is where we're at, 2018 to now. We've got to catch up. We don't like it. I think each councilor that sits up here doesn't really like the idea of raising taxes. It's not anything that we look forward to, but we have to try to balance taxation with services. What can we do without? What can we not do without? I think this has been a very hot topic, and I'm hoping that when we get down on the agenda, we get looking at the discussion of the formation of the budget committee. We have members of the community that would like to serve on that. Victoria's been on it for 2 to 3 years now. And I think last year sometimes we had a hard time getting a quorum of 3. I'm hoping this year we can at least have at least 5 stay with it, figure out where we're at, and help us. I mean, we really rely on the budget committee to help this board make a good decision for you, the taxpayer.
If I could add something to that, I know Jeannie came a couple of times to our budget committee meetings. The budget committee is an open committee meeting, just like any other committee meeting in the city. And once we convene, we start meeting again, you are welcome to come to those meetings. So that all more voices, it really helps.
It does.
Where are those posted?
They're on the website. They post the meeting agendas just like the council meeting agendas. And I'm pleased to hear that with Sarah's help and we're finally getting staff at City Hall. Like, wow, let's do something here, people. Let's get the doors open. It's going to help us, and we're going to be able to get a little bit better projection out there. So again, thank you, and I'm sorry that it belabored an hour and a half, but we all need to get the answers that we can understand better. So I appreciate it. So I guess we're still back to 6A, consideration of prepayment for county tax in the amount of $323,130.12.
Can I ask a couple questions?
You can ask, certainly you can.
Sure, Brian. So the sidewalk thing, which keeps escalating in price.
Yeah.
If the bid comes in higher than the 140 that we're anticipating, do we have a place from which to pull the money?
No. Actually, let me walk that back a little bit. I left $45,000 in unassigned, a cushion for that potential possibility. I would feel uncomfortable spending unassigned down to that number because we're working on estimated stuff. If we can get our audits done, and I'd like to think we'll get them done in the early part of this year, I'll feel more comfortable about that. So yes, we have a little bit of wiggle room. I'm so tired. The good news is we're not going to bid as soon as we thought, and I'll go into that later. I actually have to delay the bid again because we've had a right-of-way property change hands that I didn't know about, so I have to finish that. So they were almost ready to go to bid, and they're going to have to wait on me again. So hopefully in 2 months we'll know what's going on there. But yeah.
Okay. And once we pay this, we are reasonably sure that the county is not going to have to come back to us for another huge dip?
Yes. We've spent a lot of time. The county budget process has been extended and painful this year because I certainly felt last year that the committee that I was on did not do its job. It went hunting for a number very early on. It didn't like the number it was given. So rather than learning about how the county works and making an intelligent decision, we chased a number and then produced a budget that the current treasurer calls a fiction because of all the stuff that wasn't in it. We believe, and the current treasurer, Grace, who I have a lot of faith in, has reiterated, the current budget that we're presenting to the commissioners tomorrow is a reasonable and responsible budget to provide the current level of services that the county provides. So we do not anticipate any huge surprises in the short term. This is a good budget. I can't promise you that something doesn't blow up tomorrow, but these structural problems, like I said, I think we've gotten to the bottom of them because these are not secrets. These are not like somebody buried something or did double accounting. It's visible on the front of it. I feel pretty confident you're looking at isn't this bad enough? You're looking at the worst of it.
I got a question. Should we wait till after tomorrow before we vote on this then?
Oh, because of the budget? So I don't think that'll make a difference. The budget that was brought to the commissioners, I mean, okay.
It shouldn't make a difference on the tan, one way or the other, right?
Right. I'm going to make a wild hypothetical here. Should the commissioners come in tomorrow and cut the budget to shreds and make it so that it's no longer responsible, so that the bank would be uncomfortable, that would be bad. We've worked with them too closely. I don't think they'll do that. And even if they did, the Budget Advisory Committee actually gets to have the final say in the budget if they want to. They can override changes made by the commissioners by a 2/3 vote. So I wouldn't be terribly worried about that. No, I wouldn't hold up on that.
But that's two different issues. This is the TAN.
This
is the TAN, not the budget.
Right, this is the TAN, not the budget. And I want to make sure, I'm glad we talked about some of the budget, but it is important to keep those separate.
Yeah, so this puts the tan to bed.
For us, yes.
For us.
So if these towns who don't, you've got Baileyville who has said no, which is a pretty big chunk.
Right.
You've got another 300,000 between Pembroke and Perry and whatnot.
Yeah.
So if they don't pay, are we then going to be responsible for that later?
No, they are responsible for that amount. And I hope we're getting that message out right now. That is what the commissioners, whatever we do in the budget tomorrow, the biggest part of the budget is that whatever remains to be paid off on the TAN goes to county tax in the proportion that they had to pay it off on the TAN. So if Baileyville doesn't pay their 500, they will get 500 added to their county tax.
And interest and penalties.
And interest and penalties should there be.
So they'll be looking at it again strong before the end of this month, I bet.
I would add, though, on that list, too, there's a number of these smaller municipalities that are planning their town meeting now in order to vote. So we don't really know.
No, right.
We know those that have already had it and passed it, and those that have given us kind of confirmation. But then there's a good number of folks that are still trying to schedule around the holidays to get that vote in, to have people approve early payment.
That's a town type of government.
We're doing this in December,
Right.
but that's where we're at.
Such as Lubec.
We're next Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's a vote, isn't it?
The vote, yeah.
Yes.
And we're a similar situation, we have some undesignated funds that I think will avoid taxing people further.
Yeah.
But there are some towns like Whiting, I think their bill was 128 and change.
Yeah,
And they've got 30 that they can throw towards that, and then they're gonna take a 5-year note, but they've owned it.
Yeah, they've already taken,
Responsibility, and just do what they have to do to get through it.
yeah.
So for us, the idea of taking a loan, I think, in my personal opinion, is pointless.
Absolutely mine.
We have the money, why take the extra interest?
Exactly.
Would be my thought.
I mean, really, God forbid we were to decide 3 months from now that, we probably should have taken a loan. We can take a loan then for other costs. We're not foreclosing the possibility of taking loans in general. It's just, I think, this particular payment, you're not getting anything for it. You're not getting any asset, you're not getting anything else. Let's just get it, let's not pay interest to set it aside. That's my opinion.
So do we have to close comments?
Oh, no, this is 6A is I'm waiting for a motion or further discussion from the council.
I make the motion that we make the prepayment of $323,130.12.
I'll second that.
If I may, can I ask that you add to that motion, if you find in the slides there, the sources of that money, because you're allocating money from funds and you're supposed to do that explicitly.
You want to tell me what page that's on?
I believe it says the proposal, it's early on.
Okay. You want to do it? Where are we?
This says unassigned funds and capital fund, right?
I'm sorry?
But the
Unassigned funds and
proportion,
capital
yes.
fund?
Yes, I want you to specify the amount that comes from unassigned and the amount that comes from
I
capital.
said 113 and the unassigned and 160.
okay. I move that we pay the $323,130.12, taking
113.
Right here, thank you.
Yeah.
$113,000 to be paid from the unassigned funds and $210,130.21 to be paid from the capital fund.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Sarah, we have a full board now.
Councilor Dana Cummings?
Yes.
Councilor Moran?
Yes.
Councilor Stevens?
Yes.
Councilor Seeley?
Yes.
Councilor Boone?
Yes. All right. 6B, establish location, date, and time for council meetings for the fiscal year of 2026.
Ella suggested it would be good to do this today since you're all here.
Next month will be fun.
So what are our options? Do we have to move from here?
Oh, no, you can just do it again, but part of what you're supposed to do is when you have a new council, establish when you're going to be meeting. And since you technically have a new council, even though Billy's done that, Ella just said, just go ahead, if it could be the same meeting time, but you passed the motion.
Second, let's see here. Sorry. Got a motion to that effect?
I'll make the motion that we continue right here at the Port Authority, same time,
Second Wednesdays
second Wednesday of the month.
at 6. Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion?
Councilor Dana Cummings?
Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Moran?
Yes.
Councilor Stevens?
Yes.
Councilor Seeley?
Yes.
Councilor Boone?
Yes. Item 6C, reappointment of Ella Cowell as tax collector and city clerk.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Is she ready to take it?
Yes.
Yeah, these are responsibilities that I currently carry because we don't have her in place.
Right.
So, yeah, she's perfectly capable of doing this. She is working part-time, but these roles that she fills are better suited to her.
And she's physically able to do them?
She's working a couple days a week with us.
And I might add that it's good to see her back at City Hall.
Yes.
Amen.
Hearing any other discussions? Hearing none, roll call please, Sarah.
Councilor Dana Cummings?
Yes.
Councilor Moran?
Yes.
Councilor Stevens?
Yes.
Councilor Seeley?
Yes.
Councilor Boone?
Yes. 6D, appointment of Hannah Zickerhill. No, I'm sure I got that wrong. Okay, as tax collector and city clerk.
No, as BMV and IFW agent.
What is IFW?
Oh, down below,
in
yes.
Position wildlife.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Again, these are two positions I held because somebody had to take them, and I don't even know about IFWs, but Hannah knows this stuff now.
So is she, with this, is this time for questions?
I know,
Okay.
we're having trouble hearing up here because everybody out there is talking.
Is she like the...
What's BMV and IFW, please?
Bureau of Motor Vehicles.
Inland, and it should be DIFW, Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. In both cases, you have to have one person in City Hall who received the communications from both of those agencies for licensing and whatnot.
So this isn't all she would be doing, this is just officially giving her those titles?
Yes, again, this is something that Ella had held. I took them on when she left. She's only part-time, she's not running the window, she's not staying on top of this, so it makes, and now Hannah's our primary window runner, so it should go to her.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Councilor Dana Cummings?
Yes.
Councilor Moran?
Yes.
Councilor Stevens?
Yes.
Councilor Seeley?
Yes.
Councilor Boone?
Yes. 6E, tax reimbursement overpayment, real estate account number 1308, tax map H7-084-15, the amount of $888.66.
Yes, we've had to ask you to do this. What happened was the property owner paid their tax, and then their escrow company paid their tax as well. And the escrow company paid it in a single check that covered a bunch of properties, so we couldn't just return a check. So we had to cash that check and then refund it back to the property owner. And we just need a motion to approve that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Is there any penalty for that? Do we collect anything? Get
I don't
double
believe
paid?
so, sorry.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Counselor Dana Cummings?
Yes.
Counselor Moran?
Yes.
Counselor Stevens?
Yes.
Counselor Seely?
Yes.
Counselor Boone?
Yes. 6F, accept donation of $34 to go to the line item for recycling.
This comes from people at the recycling center who have collected cans and bottles, and we are obligated by law to always to explicitly accept donations, so.
And this will go back towards the expenditure of recycling?
It'll show up in the revenue line as recycling. We're not going to put it like put it off in a separate fund or anything like that. But yes, it'll show up as a recycling revenue.
I make the motion to accept the donation of $34 for the line item of recycling.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Dana Cummings?
Yes.
Counselor Moran?
Yes.
Counselor Stevens?
Yes.
Counselor Seely?
Yes.
Counselor Boone?
Yes. 6G, action on senior citizen bid.
No bids were received.
None.
I have had a couple people contact me, I don't know about others. They felt that the bid offer was too high and they were wondering about making proposals, not just for how much they're willing to pay, but what they intend to do with it. I've heard, one would not tell me what their plan was, but I've heard laundromat, I've heard like a game hall type things, but there's a lot of money that needs to go into fixing that.
Yes. It's council's pleasure just how to go forward with this.
I'd be willing to listen or entertain that. I think, maybe it might be something that benefits the whole community.
So a bid and a proposal?
Yeah.
To accept bids and proposals? Is that possible?
We don't have to accept them.
Right.
We can just, it's not like we have to sell it right away, right? Are we heating it?
No, we're not.
Electricity? So it's not costing us anything right now?
No.
Okay.
I wasn't surprised that there was no bids, but I was moderately surprised. But I was wondering, and I talked to Brian a little bit, and I think Dave, about perhaps either getting a real estate appraisal done on it or putting it into a realtor's hands and paying the commission. I don't know. I personally thought that was a very high number, and if I'm going to say last June, they did I don't know whether it was an energy audit or something, but they did a real good visual, and they went through, took pictures of everything, and if it was me looking at buying it, I'd run. But that's just me. But I don't know. I certainly will do whatever council would like. I mean,
The other option is we're really short on parking downtown.
yeah.
I don't think that's going to be enough to help, though.
Not big enough.
If you tore down the whole building, that whole
It's a
lot.
really small lot.
Basically what
Isn't
it
it?
sits on, plus what's
Yeah.
in front. Yeah, because you're right up against the back of 24. The parking's all back there.
I don't disagree, we do need parking, but I don't think that's going to solve it for us. You might get, maybe
You're up a
4
hill.
spots?
Yeah, you're up a hill too.
4 or 5 spots? If you're parking
Yeah.
deep, you get allowed to get out.
And we can't pave downtown. Well, why should we be paving up Main Street? No, that's just me, but. So I don't know what council's, or whether you want to just put it out to bid and look at the bids when they come in. We have the right to accept or reject any and all. I mean,
Yeah, put it out just the highest bidder, whatever.
you might get somebody that throws something at it. I don't know.
So a bid and,
Just don't, you don't put a minimum on it, you just put it out to bid. And
a bid and a proposal.
the council can
Yeah.
put the proposal on there too if you wanted to. But I don't know whether anything obligates you to that.
No.
No.
Like if somebody says, I'm gonna put a,
But if you've got 2
Right to
people bidding
accept or
50,000, if one
Right.
intends to do something.
Perhaps you might, so if you want to have a motion to put the property back out to bid with no minimum price, and maybe to include language to invite bidders, if they wish, to state their intended use of the property.
yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything we could hold our feet to it, so.
Right.
But, I mean, it wouldn't hurt us to hear it or see it if they bid.
But again, if you get two bids identical, one might tip, I don't know.
Flip a
Bring a
coin.
coin.
Yeah,
So it's up to you guys, but if you want to do you want to take any action or make a motion on that?
That sounds good to me.
I wouldn't want them to be required, is it a requirement, the 10% with the bid?
We did that before, would you want to include that? We can certainly.
I would.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's prudent.
so how do we want to
Do we
make
have
that
a motion?
So I'll make a motion that we open, that, well, we,
That we.
You put out to bid.
Put
Put
the
out
senior
to
citizen
bid.
out to bid.
with the option.
With no minimum, 10%
Set down
deposit
of the
required, inviting bidders
Proposals.
to state their intended purpose of use of the building.
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Dan Cummings?
Yes.
Counselor Moran?
Yes.
Counselor Stevens?
Yes,
Counselor Seeley?
Yes.
Counselor Boone?
Yes. 6H, discussion of policy for sale of real estate through a realtor.
When we spoke last week, I said I would consider throwing together a policy we just didn't talk about very much detail, and I didn't want to foreclose any other options, so I have not provided you with such a policy. What the shape I had discussed right then would be basically to solicit interest from realtors, have them all, we'll throw the business cards in a fishbowl, we pull out one, and that's who gets it. They could turn it down if they wanted to. It's important to me, no matter what policy we do, that if we allow a realtor to turn down a property, they do so in writing. There's 3 turn downs when you can go to bid. And then I had a whole bunch of other ideas that, if you said, you could say no, but you lose your place in line. You pull everyone out before you went back in. It got kind of complicated. And so the question was, I didn't have time to put it together right now anyway, but I wanted guidance from the council and have you guys talk amongst yourselves about how you would like to see this work. Because we could certainly just go back to a simpler RFP. We attempted an RFP a few months ago, but I addressed it to firms. And really, it doesn't work that way out here. It works out as individual agents. So I could see putting out an RFP to individual agents to put their name in the ring, and then you could choose one that you would just go with until you didn't want to go with them anymore. I'm happy to draft up a policy, but I thought we should talk about what that policy should look like, rather than just throwing you my idea from my head and saying, run with it.
But we're still under the obligation from the state that we have to, number one, we have to list it with a realtor.
Right.
Number 2, the realtor has to try to get fair market value.
Correct.
Number 3, we can obtain our cost out of it, and any leftover money goes back to the former previous owner.
Correct.
And if all that fails, we're still not selling the property.
Right.
I think the hesitancy, and I don't know, maybe Dennis would have a little bit more insight on it, but a lot of municipalities are having problems because the property isn't worth fair market value, and the real estate agents are putting a ton of money in advertising and time and getting nothing.
Well, fair market value is what a willing buyer will pay for the property.
So it doesn't have to be what the house is worth, it's what that you sell it for. The fact that it has a clouded title and may not be in great shape and everything else would be part of what made up fair market value. Correct?
So I mean, they don't take an average of houses around the area and say, this is the average and this is what you're going to try to get for it.
No. You do it like you're going to sell any piece of property. You put it out there. You put it out there with a listing number of an idea of what the realtor thinks that they're going to get for it, and then you show the property and you get offers or you don't get offers. Right. If you don't get offers, you're probably going to lower the price. And
I think you have to show. I think the intent of the law is because this can feel onerous and difficult, that you're not going to just dump the property to get rid of it as fast as possible and thereby shortchange the owner on the value of their property. So I think it's more about showing due diligence than about fixing a particular number.
Yes.
Because I'm sure other councilors have heard the same thing. We have too much property, and why are we not doing something with it? Why aren't we selling it off and getting taxpayers in it, paying taxes? And I said, well, it's complicated because you got a new state law, and we got to go through the guidelines. And they said, what happened to the day where you put in the quality tides and accept bids? I said, that's gone.
Supreme Court took that away.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And down below on this agenda item, we got 6 more pieces of property, and I know Al was talking about seniors. I too am concerned, because if taxes keep going up, we're going to have more of these, because people can't afford this. And we're going to have that hard choice of services versus taxes. There's no way around it. I don't.
Does the council want to give me, I'm happy to draft pretty much anything. If you want to give me a particular direction, you don't even necessarily have to do it right now. You won't be taking action. While speak with me individually, I can try to put a couple of things together. But I believe we know that among the foreclosed properties, we have some properties I expect there are interested buyers for. And I'd like to get them off our rolls, frankly. It's just another maintenance insurance headache for me the longer we hold them.
I'm comfortable letting you decide.
Let Brian pull it, and then we can kind of review it prior to, but we could accept it maybe at the next meeting.
All right.
But you can get it out to us ahead of time so that we can kind of
Absolutely.
just review it a little bit. And
working under the assumption that the county budget can't possibly go beyond next Wednesday.
It is the season of hope.
I've already warned the committee. We're going to get it done if we have to stay there for the rest of the week. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. You don't need a motion on that?
No.
6I, discussion of parking ordinance requested by Councilor Dana Cummings. This is
I'm hearing lots of concerns, comments, complaints about cars being parked and the city not able to plow. And I'm wondering if the wording overnight is throwing people off, because if it snows during the day, we still got to plow.
Right.
I was frankly astonished when I went to look at the ordinance 2 weeks ago, because I've always known about the overnight ban and everything else, which, by the way, we have not advertised. I want to apologize for that. We're going to get it in the next paper that comes out, but that's me having to be clerk. No, the ordinance actually says nothing about overnight parking. The ordinance is about blocking snow removal.
But if the article says overnight.
It's bizarre, because at the top it says section whatever, overnight parking ban, and then it proceeds to discuss that you cannot park so as to block snow clearing, and that's all. Obviously, the reason we do that is it's more of a problem at night. People park overnight, they don't, I didn't know it snowed last night. If I've been parking in the street, I've been in trouble. I think it's worth considering, from our point of view, would it be cleaner for a number of things to have an ordinance that says, yes, from November 15th to April 15th, you cannot park on the streets of Eastport between these hours. But that would be an ordinance amendment that you would certainly be within your power to make. I don't know how many people in town may be depending on the ability to park in the streets some of the time during the winter and only move it out when it snows. So that would be the obvious negative impact I can think of off the top of my head. But that's your call. And we'll probably still advertise it with the old language that this is overnight ban, even though that's not actually the rule, because that is pretty much what we want to achieve, is keep it so we don't have to wake people up at midnight.
I would like to add somewhere in that if there is an issue, for people to call RCC directly and complain that there's somebody illegally parked. That way it gets addressed, because then there's a record of it.
That's true.
I looked up a few cities in Maine, how they did it. And I can't remember which city is which, and I meant to bring it, but it's December, and it's a brutal year for teachers. A lot of them would say like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. ban of parking on roads. So that way, because a lot of times people think that it's like all the time in Eastport, you're not supposed to be on the roads. So I don't know if that would help.
At this point, I honestly, I don't have a strong sense myself. I have not personally received a lot of direct complaints about this. I get them from Howie, day after. I guess I would leave, really, it's in your court. It's up to you guys to decide if you want to amend the ordinance, and then we go through the whole public hearing procedure, and then you can hear from the public if they have an opinion about the change. And again, if the council wants to give me a specific direction they want to go, I can certainly help draft it, and we can make sure that Dennis or someone look at it ahead of time, but first you have to decide what you want to do.
I just put it in the paper the way we always have it.
I think, well, I mean, first of all, I think you do need to get it in the paper. Second of all, talking with the police chief on this particular issue, he said the other big issue is the Airbnbs because they don't disclose during the wintertime, don't park down here because we have no parking for you, by the way, because this is the only place you can park. Airbnbs don't have parking. They use the city streets.
Oh, the lofts on the stores.
Yeah.
Downtown ones are.
The other thing that comes to mind, and I think it's more of a enforcement type of an issue because many times, such as this last time, that vehicle is parked on the sidewalk. If you had the sidewalk cleaned out, that was actually the sidewalk. And they park on Washington Street on the sidewalk, and nobody gives them a ticket. They walk around it. I mean, and somebody that's trying to walk, it's got to walk out into the path of the vehicles, especially during activities like 4th of July, Pirate Weekend. Oh boy, they park wherever they want to, but there's no enforcement. I mean, we try to be civil and we go by with the ATV, the light flashing.
The restriction is in the winter, isn't it?
That's because according to that, that's an overnight parking ban during snow.
Right.
It's not a parking ordinance. Like I think Colleen's looking at more of an ordinance parking.
But we're referring to what the ordinance actually says, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So.
But an ordinance would take more than tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
Right,
Take
yeah,
more
set up a hearing,
take more than the next one
and
too.
then do it. So
Yeah.
you're not going to fix it tonight.
That would take a few weeks to.
So do we want to?
I guess what I'd like to accomplish is that if you are going to post on there, if there's an issue, to call RCC.
We'll add that to our announcement, and we'll put that on the new
Yes.
website when it comes out too.
Yes.
And that'll be our Band-Aid for now, and then you can take some time to decide if you really want to. I look over the entire ordinance, actually. I was actually, it's fairly thorough. I was impressed, actually. So whether it says what you want to or not is the important thing.
Can you include RCC phone number on there too?
Sure.
Not the emergency number.
But it is good to get it documented so that continuing. Keep calling on the same person.
Especially
it happens.
With the new reporting,
Yeah.
we will see.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I need to point out that we are approaching 8 o'clock. Our captioner is only committed to being here at 8 o'clock. The in-room captioning and Zoom captioning are part of a reasonable accommodation request. If anyone in the room feels like the meeting should not continue without in-room captioning when the captioner leaves, or I believe our policy also says on Zoom, we'll have to recess. But I believe, I honestly don't know. I believe we're within our rights to ask, are people right, should we lose captioning? At least within the room. And that we may have actually already, I'm not seeing it.
It's not working. It's not.
So we've lost, captioning is, we have had a live human captioner this whole time. It's a service provided through the state of Maine. As part of a reasonable accommodation request, we always use this form of captioning. But they can only commit to be here until 8 o'clock. So if the people in the room are happy with us continuing, Victoria, let me know if anyone on Zoom complains. If they do, and if we can't provide a better accommodation, and there isn't a better accommodation for Zoom, we'll have to recess.
So it's only 6 to 8?
Correct.
They can't do it any earlier? We only get 2 hours?
It's not the amount of time, it's the 8 o'clock deadline.
Right, but if we started our meetings
If we start our meetings earlier, we'd be able to do that. This is the first time we've really come up against it. We've gone over it a couple times on executive session, but we've come back with no motion and nobody on Zoom. So it's been okay. This is the first time the main part of the meeting's gone after 8 since we've done this, believe it or not.
I sent a message to the captioner to see if he could stay, and she could stay until after 8 o'clock, but they have not answered.
Yeah, they're not.
There's your answer.
They're still captioning.
But hearing no objection, I believe we can go forward.
The captioner said they can stay.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right, so do we want to
I guess there's no motion. I've gotten instruction about what's put in there, and should you want to bring an ordinance amendment forward, just something to open on the agenda.
Okay. Yep, good, all right, thank you. 6J, but mature foreclosures on fiscal year 2024 real estate taxes. Real estate account number 689, 2 Clark Street. Real estate account 263, 20 Boynton Street. Real estate account 935, 9 Snyder Road. Real estate account 1820, 1A Readout Road. Real estate account 1601, 37 Capon Avenue. Real estate account 244, 12 Chapel Street.
There's no action to take here. Ella had suggested that this has been mentioned before, and she thought it should be put here. I do want to note, actually, that 1A Readout Road is already foreclosed on last year. That's not a new foreclosure.
Okay.
We will be notifying, so these people have already received their 30-day notices of foreclosure. We've talked about providing essentially, and that's required by law, providing a courtesy letter just to make sure people do in fact understand they've been foreclosed on. But at this point, there's no action to take on any of these properties.
What are we looking at actions in the future?
Well, yes, we will have to talk about, I'm hoping, well, I certainly hope some of these folks will be able to find a way to pay back, in which case we'd go with, as we did with 10 Evans, which by the way has been executed finally.
Oh, thank God.
Enter into repurchase agreements. If that's not possible, yes, we'd be talking about that whole next part of the process. So, nothing to do today.
So am I correct in these are already 3 years behind in taxes? All? I thought it was. All right. Well, thank you. 6K, report on 5-year capital plan. Update as required in City Charter, Section 502D and Section 505A.
So I've told you guys in the past that this has been in the charter. There's supposed to be a 5-year capital plan, and it's never been done. It still isn't done today. We have a grant from SCDC that's supposed to help me with this, but I have been nowhere near it. I just wrote them today about hoping to get into it in January. But Ella noted it, and it should be on the agenda, so we do not have one. But you will get a 5-year capital plan. I imagine you probably won't see the final one until we get near the end of budget time. But at least we will have one this year.
It's going to be significantly reduced with the...
Well, my plan right now is actually to put everything in the plan that we think needs to be there. Whether we can get it done in 5 years or not, I don't know. And certainly in this coming year, it's probably going to be much reduced. But at the very least, we need to know what's coming. All the vehicles, all the maintenance, all that stuff.
All right. 6L, discussion of formation of the 2026 Budget Committee.
Yes, that is supposed to happen next month. And I bring it up because I actually went and read the charter closely about the formation of the committee. And Victoria, if you or anybody else on the committee knows, but there's actually supposed to be five, so there's supposed to be 5 people who serve 3-year terms. And we have not at this point figured out, we're not sure that got assigned that way. In other words, we don't know who's serving what terms at this point. In addition to that, the council is asked to nominate between 2 and 4 people just for that fiscal year. I've given to you what I think might be a notice worth putting in the paper, just to solicit interest in the budget committee. Because we don't know what the terms are, I'm suggesting that we say we're looking for 2 people to commit to 3-year terms, 2 people to commit to 2-year terms, and then the remainder would be, there would be 1 other person who would be serving a 1-year term, and then 2 to 4 people would just be serving a year, so I'm just doing it that way.
Mine was a 3-year term, I do know that.
Okay, so I'll try to clear out the next couple of days. That might change the language there a little bit. The question is, do you think we should be going out and advertising and basically saying we need a bunch of people on the budget committee? Obviously, people already on the committee, I would strongly encourage to put their names back in, and with the amount of term they're willing to commit to. Do they want to just say we're doing it for 1 year, or will you commit to a 3-year term? And basically reconstitute the budget committee properly at the next meeting.
Do I think it's worth advertising? Yes.
So
with all the people who have so much to say about our budget.
I guess I'm going to ask for maybe just a motion to advertise for members of the budget committee. Please read what I've written there and ask me, tell me if you'd like to say any differently or make any changes. But we'll get that out right away then for the 26th, I believe is the next day the paper comes out. Is that right, Catherine? The next paper comes out the 26th?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a time commitment or some kind of description on what the budget committee needs?
I briefly discussed here that you're expected to meet regularly from February to May. It will depend on the specific committee, how much time they actually want to put into it and how many meetings. It has typically been a weekly meeting that lasts about 2 hours. We will try to hit the actual deadline this year, I hope, as well, which is the budget committee is supposed to be done with its work by May 1st. This past year, we got kind of near the end of May. We got you out by June at least. But May 1st is when you're supposed to be done.
For the people that are on the committee or previously on the committee, do we stay or do we get reinstated?
I guess my thought when I put this out here is that we'd ask you to reapply, essentially, to be reappointed, because we don't know who's in what terms. And when we ask you to reapply, say, yeah, are you willing to stay 3 years, 2 years, or you just want one? And then council will have to choose how they'll apportion all of that. I did write to Don. I haven't heard back from him. If the committee, certainly if the committee, the current members want to talk among themselves and offer me an opinion as well, I'd like to hear that.
I've talked to Don because we've talked about when are we going to start our meetings, and I thought he was going to come and talk to you about it, but I have not talked to Jenny, so I don't know if Jenny's going to come back. David Crico is gone, and the other lady's name escapes me.
Sarah left. Sarah
No, not Sarah.
She got down.
Rachel Williams, right?
Rachel. I'm not sure what Rachel's situation is.
Okay.
And there was a Russell McCray.
So, yes, actually, this all came up because Don had brought Russell's name forward for us last month, and we kicked it to this month because they hadn't had a chance to look at it. And then I got prepared to say, how long will he be on for? And that's when I said, I don't know where we're at.
Okay.
So, if Mr. McCray's around, we're still interested in him, but I think we need to make a general call.
I think Don put his name forward, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Don put his name forward?
Yes.
Okay. I'll put mine back in for 3 years too, if you want me to stay.
Okay.
Everybody okay with that?
Are we going to get letters of interest?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like, send a letter, a cover letter.
Yeah, if you read that, I literally wrote that off the top of my head, to this afternoon.
And this is for an ad, not for a policy.
For an ad, it's just an ad, yes, it's not, yeah.
Do you want cover letters from the existing members?
Sure. I mean,
Persons interested in serving on the budget committee should submit a cover letter to the council president, William Boone, in care of city manager Brian Schuth, explaining why they wish to serve and what terms of office they are willing to accept, 3, 2, or 1 year. The cover letter should be emailed to city manager at eastport-maine.gov or mailed to 22 Washington Street.
I think current members can just put it.
that could be your cover letter.
I think sitting board members should just be able to put their name in and tell us that they're still interested and how long they would like to be on board. That's
You
sufficient.
must have submitted one in the beginning, right?
I don't know. They didn't
I don't think so.
Actually, I was recruited. Bub recruited me to come in for the first year. I took somebody's place mid-year, mid-budget year, the first year.
I will say part of what we're doing here, you guys have been talking the last couple of meetings about wanting a little more process, a little more background when you're appointing people, so you just don't get names and put them on. So that's why that language is there.
But it would be good to have a good 5-member board, plus maybe an alternate. Would be absolutely.
Technically, it's supposed to be a minimum of 7.
Yeah, it should be 7. That would be better if we could get 7 people.
You get a lot of different views. So,
Who is our council champion? This
council liaison would be next month. Next month they'll do it.
Next month.
We'll assign.
January, do all the liaison.
You want me to be it, don't you, Victoria?
Yes, I do. I want to run that.
It's in the charter, it can't be destroyed.
Women had good luck.
I know, that's what I told her, it's in the charter, I can't destroy it.
We're on item 7, minutes of previous meetings.
Yes, you have the October 8 minutes in front of you. We got that there. I was not able to get the 12 done today, but we now have staff. We'll get back up to date at the next meeting.
So You just want the approval of the October 8th.
Yeah, if you're ready, I just gave them to you today, so if you want to table them, I'm fine with that, but you at least have them.
I read them.
You have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the October 8th city council meeting.
I'll second that.
Meeting.
Minutes. There you go. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Dan Cummings?
Yes.
Councilor Moran?
Yes.
Councilor Stevens?
Yes.
Councilor Seeley?
Yes.
Councilor Booth?
Yes. Item 8, city manager's report.
It's so late. I'm just going to note that Colleen specifically asked for better reporting from departments. I hope I got you everything you wanted this time. I won't belabor the point about what we're doing with the police data. I'm happy that we're able to get it. It's showing that most of the time we're covering about 80% of our calls, which is what the police thought was the case. We can reproduce numbers if we decide we want to. I gave you that whole long detail. If anyone actually read that document about how I'm doing the data, I'm proud of you. But I'm doing that because we are making decisions about how we count. I want to make sure it's really transparent. So if anyone comes back and says, how are you counting this? I've been able to put it there. You also have a financial report. It's really not that much change in shape from last month. In other words, yes, we're ahead on expenses, but a lot of that is stuff that's already been fully paid. When you take the fully paid elements out, we're actually doing pretty well. The one thing I will point out is that we've got a bunch of staffing that's kept our payroll low because people haven't been in positions that we have them now. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on that. I have already asked people, because of the county budget situation, that people work the hours that I pointed to, I have gotten it out to everyone that no unavoidable overtime. Alas, if we keep getting snow every 2 days, that's going to be an issue. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Why is wastewater 62%?
Can I see what exactly line you're referring to?
Good Lord. It's the one that's circled.
You know
Everything else makes
what I did
sense.
do for you guys, and I will do for next week? I did not give you a summary on sewer.
Oh.
I don't know. I will have to, let me quickly eyeball to see if I see an obvious. General slow. Oh, boy. Well, chemicals aren't way ahead. Okay, so there's an EPA permit, that's at 94%, that's fully paid. Quaddy Village septic, I need to ask about that. That's pumping, that's almost fully expended. If that's something that happens once a year, I'm fine with that. Oh, and the sewer bond payment has been paid. So there's $172,000 out of a $465,000.
So it's paying ahead again.
That's been paid out. That's actually less than the amount, so I don't know if there's an additional payment, or if we're lucky, we over budgeted. But that's primarily.
Okay.
Item 8, that concludes the city manager's report. Item 9, council liaison updates and issues.
Do we have any status on the deer committee?
Yes, they are meeting tomorrow in here. Do we have a liaison for that? That's a really good question.
I thought AJ signed up for that.
Did I? If it's during the day, I'll never make it.
Yeah.
That's the problem with a lot of the committees. They meet during the day.
They
Summer,
are
I
meeting
can make
tomorrow. Chris Bartlett has put that together. It'll be their first meeting.
What time is it, do you know?
2
p.m.
Of course.
Definitely won't make it.
Nope.
Billy, it sounds like you can make it.
I'm working. I could probably
Right up-
get
right
it if
up
I had
the
to.
It'll be right down here, I believe.
Jeez, my wife is looking at me.
She's behind the tree, Dave. You don't even see her.
Seriously, they actually did ask who their liaison was.
If they met later, I could do it. I can't do it now. Since I have no other committees.
It's only for a month.
Well,
It's this
last
month.
time I got on that, I had someone come to the house and kind of attacked me.
Oh,
Shut up.
That was
Seriously?
back in 15.
oh yeah, that's changed. You got good people now.
Yeah. I'll go to this meeting.
Okay.
That's fair.
2 o'clock here.
Where at? Here? Right down here?
Right here, yeah. I believe we typically vote to appoint liaisons, do we not?
No, that's
No.
next month.
Oh, okay.
But we don't vote on it, we just sort of said, we'll do this one, we'll do that one.
Yeah, but you accept them. You basically vote on them.
But saying that we'd be voting Dave to the Deer Committee liaison.
No, I think just this one, and then we'll see what next
Okay,
month
okay.
brings. And
Fair enough.
I
We'll see
mean,
what
if
time
he's,
you're gonna do it. though.
yeah.
He's an appointment.
maybe
Last time it was rough, I get done.
You get good
Someone
people
else
this
will.
time. Chris is on there. You get good people there. You'll be all right.
All right.
Thanks, Dave.
Everybody's welcome.
Anything, Colleen? No? You guys good?
I have no committees.
I've got two, and something else I just want to mention. I see the audience has pretty much left us, but I think the city owes the chamber a very big thank you. Last Saturday, that horse drawn going up and down through town was terrific.
That was nice.
And the people of this community need to say thank you to them. More so, the chamber just lighting up the downtown. I know the horse buggy was only 11 business owners that sponsored it. The downtown lighting didn't quite get enough, so Lisa asked if she could use some priority boxes for donations, and I said absolutely. I think that they do a terrific job, and I think it's on us to say thank you to the chamber. Airport, as I was discussing earlier with Victoria at the meeting, a couple of our strong plow people are leaving us for about a month probably. We may be short-handed out there, so they're looking for volunteers. You definitely just got to get trained, and if you've driven a truck and a plow before, you probably will be okay. If you've only driven a golf cart, probably not. Let's stay out of there. So I'll certainly try to get out with Pete just a little bit in case something happens. I'd rather not leave it all on one person because, like tonight, heating issues, and then now we're in a mess. So,
And equipment breaking down.
yeah.
And that too, and we've had we had one truck in with you, and I had to take the yellow truck in today. Howie switched out a plow for me. So if I had missed him, if they had already gone for the day, then our plow would be down, and I got about 3/4 of it done by 12 o'clock, and we wouldn't be able to finish plowing the apron.
Yeah, and the rain's going to take it all off tonight.
We hope
Everything's
so.
good,
We just hope it
yeah.
doesn't freeze.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's supposed to be
Not
up in the
tonight.
40s.
Maybe
Yeah,
tomorrow
in the
night.
40s.
What do you do if it freezes?
We pray for sunshine, because that's the only thing. You can't put
can't
any
salt.
chemicals on the
Runway,
chemicals that are approved for a runway are exorbitantly expensive, and the city would never be able to afford them. So we have to pray for sunshine, and then as soon as it starts to crack up, we get the plow out there, and we just try to break it off and push it off the road, push it off the runway as best as possible.
Yeah, but great job either way, as always out there. Senior meeting yesterday, oh boy. I'm just trying to remember what happened yesterday, that's all.
We had the grand opening Sunday.
We had the grand opening on Sunday, a lot of, Victoria made it up there, good crowd, very good crowd, very well appreciated. As the senior center itself, it's starting to, the meals are picking up, I guess, from Donna's report the other night, a little bit on the meals side of it. They're also doing a lot of discussion on the community side of the building. They have a pool table group that wants to move into the basement and utilize it, and they're just trying to work out all the logistics, but they're trying to get both things happening out there. The exercise class has been taking off really big. Judy Knapp's doing that once a week or twice a week, and it's definitely coming. The only thing, I was out there last night again for another Christmas party, and I was out there Sunday. I truly wish that we could have had a level floor, because just people carrying stuff up the steps. It's like, oh no. But there is a ramp, and a lot of them should use that ramp if it's hard getting in the steps, but ideally it would be great if we had a one level ground floor, but we don't. But we are very happy with what we have. The building is much better than the last one we had. And it is growing, and unfortunately Dale's going to be away, the president's going to be away most of January and a little bit of February, but Sarah's backing it up, and we're doing pretty good. One of the things that's kind of stuck in the back of my mind, and maybe others can think about it a little bit, and I don't know if Donna can kind of help me a little bit with it, but with the $14,000 from the city, that basically covers payroll and I think one other thing. It wasn't much.
So the 14 we get from the city, just covers payroll pretty much, a little bit less, maybe 12 out of the 14, something like that, which I'll be presenting to the budget committee
in February
when we go for the new funding. But, and then all the rest of the expenses are donations and meals and stuff like that. I mean, the meal money pretty much pays for the food.
Right.
We're not really making a lot of money there. But we'll want to provide these numbers to the budget committee, so maybe we can work better.
And they're shooting in the dark here because it's a brand new building. You don't know anything with the utilities or the cost. I mean, Tamro, I heard the number, which seemed to be very reasonable. I remember Dale saying that the thermostat was on 65, and I looked at it and it was on 67, and I was freezing. And I said, shit, I don't even have a key to that box.
So there's no numbers from before?
We have numbers from the youth center, but we're using the building in a really completely different way. They only used it once for the bingo, really. And they gave us numbers when we were going through the purchase process.
Yeah.
But we're using the building every single day, so it's hard to know. Although with the new box on the thermostat, nobody can really change.
And the programmable, I mean, so that, I mean, they're more accurate. They're not the old Mercury type.
And we finally have finished paying off all the utilities from Boynton Street, so now we can really start getting a true picture of what our expenses are going to be going forward.
Right there, yeah. Donna, and I didn't get it the other day at the meeting, but where's the red light for the furnace?
Yeah, it's in the big picture window in front of the couch on the other side.
Okay.
So when you're looking at the building on the left, the picture window on the left.
Okay. Just for councils, anybody that goes by and you see a red light on that picture window, call somebody because that means the heat's off.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we set it for, we got one of
45.
those things set it for 45 degrees.
Yeah,
so
it just, I imagine Dane will keep a pretty good eye on it. He goes down by it all the time, and Misty's across the street, so.
The police don't, I'll tell the police.
Yeah, we'll certainly let them know, but anybody in the plowing, it just.
We also hired additional snow removal people to help us keep the ramps clean and the parking lot clean too.
Yeah, because I know the city was going to do some, and I know Dale was talking about it, and I suggested talking to the ones that they hired at the school, but I don't know.
It's the same man that did it at 9 Boynton Street.
Oh, okay, good. Yep.
Yeah.
So what about the building, like the roof, the furnace? How are those?
The roof is fairly new. The furnace is fairly new. They wanted to convert it to the propane that they had at the Boynton Street, but it wasn't really compatible, and then that was fairly new out there, so they just left it with oil. The roof is metal roof. That's only, I'm going to say, probably less than 3 years old. The decks were 1 year old, the ramps.
I think the building is in pretty good shape.
They do have Dana did mention a window was kind of blown up there the other day, because he said every time you go in, the insert's blown in. It's sealed or something's gone.
And then the front door issue that came up this week too.
I think
we'll get someone to work on that.
I think, yeah, Bob can clean that up, and we got the down the stairs door that was broken, we got that replaced. So structurally, the building is in very good shape. The outside's going to need to get painted probably next year.
We also started to do the produce distribution.
Yes,
We're partnering with the healthcare center, so they're still buying and managing it, but we distributed it the first Monday of the month. We just did the first one last week.
Oh, good.
And we think we had about 75 people. Well, we had about 75 people.
Yeah, and the good part with that was instead of, I don't know if anybody's aware of it, but they used to go down to the health center and stand in the parking lot and go in the garage. This way here, they can go in the building, they're out of the weather,
Yeah.
they stand in the basement, so it's, I think it's gonna be a much better venue, and I'm pleased, but I think there's a big shout out to definitely the board for all that they've done out there, because this was a good 5 months in the process of putting everything together, and I know that the cost went over what we expected, but we had some things that we didn't expect too, like the sewer alarm out in the road, and
The sewer what?
the sewer alarm in the tank. It sends off an alarm inside there if the float's too low. This is something Howie knew about. And,
Because it's so close to the sewer?
well, it used to be because you had to pump it up to the sewer.
Oh, okay.
And one time they had it backflow into the building and they had to clean it all up, but these are just costs that we didn't anticipate, and like the doors. We thought the doors were all good, but the one downstairs broke in half. I mean, you gotta fix it, you can't let it go.
And we did put in those, the winter liners on the inside.
The inserts, yeah, those have helped.
So those will help this winter.
Yeah, that was an excellent stab at that, and that got done. I think it's coming along great, and I look forward to many more activities out there.
I think we had at least 100 people on Sunday.
Sunday, yeah, it was a good turnout.
So it went really well.
Yeah. Thank you, Donna. That kind of wraps up mine. I have item 10, executive session. I need a motion to go into executive session.
827, I make the motion to go into executive session for personal matters, Title I, MRSA 4056A, for real estate property or economic development, Title I, MRSA 4056C, and consultation with legal counsel, Title I, MRSA 4056E.
It's 8:27.
What did I say?
I don't know, I didn't actually hear you say that.
Oh.
I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah, you did.
I thought I did.
Do I have a second to that motion?
A second.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Dana Cummings?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor Stevens?
Yes.
Councilor Seeley?
Yes.
Councilor Boone?
Yes.
This recorder is on. I believe we're good. Yep.
I'll entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call, please, Brian.
Counselor Dana Cummings?
Yes.
Counselor Moran?
Yes.
Counselor Stevens?
Yes.
Counselor Seeley?
Yes.
Counselor Boone?
Yes.
The time is 9:04.
Item 11, action from executive session, if any.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into a repayment agreement for 37 Capen Avenue for all due back taxes plus interest.
Second that.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Dana Cummings?
Yes.
Counselor Moran?
Yes.
Counselor Stevens?
Yes.
Counselor Seeley?
Yes.
Counselor Boone?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Donna moved to come out of executive session. Who seconded?
AJ,
Thank you. Well, so both of them, okay. Great.
we're on item 12.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
I'll give it to Colleen. Okay.
Discussion? Hearing none, roll call,
Counselor Dana
please.
Cummings?
Yes.
Counselor Moran?
Yes.
Counselor Stevens?
Yes.
Counselor Seeley?
Yes.
Counselor Boone?
Yes, thank you.
Are we leaving this like this for their meeting tomorrow? Or are we putting everything away?
I think we should put everything away. Thank you.